that I can't see.
Hang on a minute. Oh, hang on. Dave was here.
Oh,
Perhaps he disappeared when I came on.
Honestly, no, Dave was here. It was.
I frightened him away.
Oh, by the way, we're live on YouTube. Yes, we're live on YouTube, and I want us to be. We can have a little bit of chit chat before we start. I'm just going to get some stuff set up in the background. It's all good to do stuff, right? Hey, don't I look good tonight? You know, I look sort of riveting. I look. By the way, my acting agent says I've got to go full pirate again.
oh gosh.
Full pirate. I've got to dress like a pirate. I've got to walk like a pirate. I've got to act like a pirate. I've got to philander like a pirate. I've got to have mischief with women like a pirate, and nobody's safe.
Has he got you a pirating job somewhere then?
Oh God, I'm giving too much away. Let's just leave it.
Your film's coming out in another week.
Oh my God, I've actually been told that if I do actually appear in it, then things will change.
Well, I'm only going to see it because you're in it, so I'll be really disappointed if you're
Well,
not.
I'm going to be really disappointed if the £250,000 they spent on my scene isn't in it.
God.
But we'll. Oh, hang on a minute. Who's this now? Anne.
Oh, good.
Right. So what I am going to do, Margaret, sort of anyone who bleeps on whilst we're in the doodah.
Will I let them in?
Yeah, you let them in. Yeah, you let them in. I'm just going to do some stuff on you. So. Right. What we should ask first
Hello, Anne.
is.
Hello.
We got to say hello to wonderful Anne, and we got to ask Drina, have you got any news for us this week?
No, not this week. No.
What? Okay, this isn't going well so far because somebody has to have some news. Margaret, make her up.
Didn't anybody watch Bethany Hughes' programme about the Nabateans?
Oh, yeah, my son
did.
John told me
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good. They showed about all the carvings in the rocks, all the inscriptions, over 2,500 years old, in oldie Arabic, in basic Arabic. And
Wow.
Apparently, I didn't know, they were trading in frankincense, which they used to use camel trains and go through the desert and then go by ship over to the Aegean. They found evidence in the island of Kos, of all places, and in the Bay of Naples, because the Romans were mad for it, for the incense.
Yeah. Wow.
They couldn't have enough.
Yeah, I think you've said enough now, love.
Do you?
Yeah, I think,
Am I overdoing it? Am I overdoing it, Carl?
You're getting on the edge of getting really sort of,
What?
graphic. The Romans are getting enough of it. You know, that's like.
No, they're frankincense.
Yeah, I know. It's fine. I've lost one. Yeah, no, Jesus. There you go. We got Jesus in there as well. There you go. Jesus, baby, frankincense.
They found a massive, in the Bay of Naples, a massive underwater settlement. They said it was about 22 football pitches big. Statues, temples, you name it. It's all under the sea off Naples.
And the statue of Lloyd George. Did they see a big statue?
Probably, I've no doubt.
Oh yeah, I definitely.
Can I just ask? Did anybody see
hang on a minute? She's still talking.
Sorry.
Actually, do you know what I do in the other? Do you know what I do in the other class?
Sorry.
I've finished. No, that's it.
Anne's always the other Anne in the other class is always interrupting. So it was Anne, stop it. Let him talk. Go on,
well,
Trina.
I watched something today on YouTube about
talk about the other Anne, Trina.
Trina.
No, Trina. Oh, I'm losing it. Trina, go and give your bit.
Has anybody seen that desert hike program?
You mentioned that.
Yeah, it was really good. It was like prehistory, and they found these stone, not very big walls, obviously in straight lines, and they were
Yeah.
used to catch animals. The stone walls went into like a triangle end with I don't know what you'd call them, holes.
Keep talking. I'm going to burn some incense. Go on.
With deep holes that the animals would sort of gallop towards and fall in the hole, and that's how they caught them. And there's loads of them.
In the Sahara, is that?
Yeah.
What were
And
they
further
catching?
over in
Camels?
Iran, I think.
They were catching camels.
No, they were gazelles.
Oh, gazelles.
Yeah. It was
Oh,
incredible. It's absolutely
That
massive.
system, I've heard of
Massive.
that system being used where they chase animals into pits.
Yes.
Yeah, they did that in
That's
Britain,
but I
didn't they?
presume that's-
Yeah.
They did it. We found some in the Long Sleddle Valley,
Yeah.
just outside Kendal, some
Wow.
old deer pits,
Yeah.
Neolithic, as old as that.
No, these were huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive. Yeah.
Oh, poor gazelles.
And loads of them.
Oh, poor things. So they'd all break their legs. Were they? Were
Yes,
these pits?
probably. They were pits. Yeah. But they built them on the lines of the migratory
Routes.
Yeah. So.
Well, they're sure to do that, aren't they, if they know that? Because
Yeah.
that'll pay off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the one.
Go on.
You know the one thing I would say is that why are humans predestined to always kill things? Do you know what I mean?
We did it to eat, didn't we, initially, like most things?
I don't think they are really. I think the human race, as I see it, goes from extremely damage everything we've got to get something out of this, to others who will try and conserve. I remember one piece of news. It was one news thing one evening that I was watching, and it was about the big ships that were scraping up all the corals and things in the sea.
Oh, yeah.
To get stuff to put in phones. So that lot. And in the same news bit, there were these people down in Kent who were rescuing newts. Before that's I think mankind. That shows the extreme of them. Really, some of them are terrible. There are others who really try to preserve things, though. The preservers usually lose out though because they're not as I don't know, nasty or something. I don't know.
Well, animals kill for food.
Yes.
I mean, I have seen cats killing mice, and they seem to have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
You know, they toy with them.
Yeah.
Whereas we kill for lots of reasons, don't we?
Yeah. We've got two cats, right? And they have great fun about bringing a mouse in here, and then you spend the next 10 minutes trying to catch the mouse and then release the mouse halfway across the world, and it's just like
it's like a game.
It's our cats have wiped out the local population of everything. So yeah, but they don't attack birds, which is odd.
Yours don't. Oh,
they don't go for birds. No, basically because we got loads of because we got loads of chickens and stuff around. They don't go for birds because it's almost as if.
Yeah.
Even though I'm cuddling Baldric, he's got big wings, and they're thinking, "Oh my God, these little things, they might be related to him, and he might eat us." So they're petrified of Baldric, and they're petrified of baby Baldric, Baldric's daughter, who's actually pretty big now. She's like a released patient from a dinosaur lunatic asylum, and she will attack anything. She goes for all 21 of my sheep.
Oh.
She will herd the entire flock away because she will attack the lot because she's got a baby chick with her. So,
do turkeys squawk, or do they just do a gobble gobble noise? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Gobble gobble.
Right, we got to crack on with what we're supposed to be doing. Right, Anne.
Well, I was watching a program on YouTube today about Göbekli Tepe.
Oh.
And they were saying they were bringing new technology to bear in the age of archaeology, and they've used AI to interpret what all the carvings are there. and they're amazed that they could have been done at the time, because of what they do seem to show is that stars. They seem to be, a calendar, and looking at the stars in heaven, and and explains it in different. How we call some of the constellations by names of things, the Hunter, or but they've put that kind of translation onto with the snakes and the patterns on it. They've interpreted it in that way. But there were other, I haven't watched the others, but there are some others where AI is being used, because they say it can find patterns and see things that the human eye doesn't see, therefore could be a help. Now, whether this is all rubbish or not, because I've only seen one program and I like a bit more to know, to go on to believe it. But it seemed very interesting, and AI obviously is helping so many things. It could have turned itself.
Haven't they found a site, another something teppy that's even older?
Yes.
In that same area?
Yes, they have. I can't remember the name of it.
Not Göteborg. I can't remember what it was called. It's a similar name, but they think it's even older.
Yeah.
And they reckon people did actually settle there.
They couldn't understand, the archaeologists there couldn't understand how at that time they would have just been hunter-gatherers with some stone tools, that they could have built all this stuff, really. They found that very puzzling.
Well, they think they settled. They're saying now they think they settled.
I think there could have been a more ancient, get my word right, or ancient civilization, which was lost because things have disappeared with the Earth doing terrible things and wiping out for a long time.
Yeah.
But again, they're very saying they just don't understand, really. They've just got all this information, which they find very surprising.
Yeah.
And the one thing to say about all this is this is quite fundamental, that what you do have at Göbekli Tepe is probably representative of about 5% of its culture, right? So when you've got all these different interpretations, that's like 5% of the world of the people of Göbekli Tepe. So we put so much on interpreting that 5% of evidence.
Yeah.
And then it's like, the people who Göbekli Tepe were this, and the people who Göbekli Tepe were that. But what you're doing is inferring what these people are from that one piece of evidence.
Yes.
Right?
They were very cautious in accepting and trying to, didn't know what they'd got, really. But they had found these patterns and things out of it. But they weren't sure of what, they had all sorts of possibilities, but no sort of real evidence.
And this is the point, the real evidence. And I want to talk about me a minute, and the reason why this is a good one, because when you type my name into the internet, right, you get lots of actory things, and then suddenly says Karl-James Langford is a journalist, right? Because I've got a column for the local newspaper that I've been doing since early 2021, and you're thinking, right, okay, so if you take away everything else on there, you forget about this archaeology that I'm doing now, and you forget about the fact that I'm an archaeologist. Yeah. So then you take that one little thing about being a journalist, and it'd be like, oh, Karl-James Langford was a journalist, right? So this is the same situation with Göbekli Tepe. What we're doing, what are we highlighting? And we're highlighting this is the most important thing about the civilization associated with Göbekli Tepe, or is this only fundamentally a piece of what these people at Göbekli Tepe are like? It's like looking at Homer's Iliad, and it's like looking at the world of about 3,200 years ago, or even before, the Mycenaeans or whatever that's based upon, Agamemnon and Mycenae and so on. So what you're doing is you're understanding that civilization based upon the siege of Troy and based upon Mycenae, based upon warfare. And so what about agriculture? What about all these other things? So warfare, as Anne fully well knows, is only a small representation of society, right? It's only gone to show us a small fragment of society, and this is when we look at Göbekli Tepe. What are we looking at? And what we should be doing is we should be taking that as part of a culture, not being the be all and end all, which is the dangerous
well,
thing.
I was a bit distrustful of it because, you know.
No, don't be distrustful. No, don't be distrustful.
Well, I'm saying I wasn't.
Yeah.
Because it's just one piece of evidence, and usually I need more than that if I'm going to believe something a lot. But nevertheless, it was very interesting, and you know, and they didn't seem to be saying this is definitely this, that, and the other, which I would have definitely wouldn't have, you know. But they were, as I say, they found they didn't know what they'd found really.
That's good. Sorry to interrupt, Mag. Yeah. That's good because what, in some ways, don't be distrustful of what they're offering. No. What they're offering is part of a package, which is, and the rest of the package isn't there. Go on, Margaret.
Yeah.
Well, you just see these ancient things in the context of today, and the landscape would have been so different, wouldn't it? 12,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And actually, wow, that is another point. I keep saying to Michelle in West Wales, I keep saying that everything that you see around you, everything, all the fields, all the trees, all the arrangements of the landscape, painfully, I know that there is nothing left of the original boundaries and stuff of the landscape. There's nothing really left of what was here in the medieval period. So in the past 400 years, everything has changed. Everything categorically has changed.
Absolutely.
And say that again.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, but that's scary, isn't it? Because when you want to look at, say, the landscape of say Ambleside, right, and you're trying to understand the landscape that Roman Ambleside was like, it's impossible. But we have come across one or two examples in these classes where I showed you a site in West Wales, and I said, do you see that field boundary there around the edge of an Iron Age site? That field boundary has been there for 2,300 years, but everything else has changed.
Yeah.
So, and it's very difficult when I see illustrations of the landscape taking advantage of what's around us today. So say, for example, people might reconstruct the landscape and they say, oh, the river's always been there. No, it moved 50 times and it was supposed to be 100 meters over there. I saw a reconstruction of Skara Brae once, right? And it basically had nice little buildings at Skara Brae, and which had been excavated, and that was the illustration. And I thought, hang on a minute, the board over here says it was 2 or 3 times bigger. Where are those other buildings? Right? Oh, and the sea was much further out. So why is the sea there now today in this illustration, illustrating something 5,000 years ago? And the danger is that we're always not looking at the evidence properly. And one of the biggest things that I'm really, really struggling with, I'll tell you, this is a deep thing that I'm really, really struggling with at this minute, right? In Britain, we do archaeology very differently than most other countries on the planet, and we don't do it well. Yeah. So they've excavated 2 very large Roman bathhouses outside Durham. And my head is saying Binchester, but that's not right. It can't be. But anyway, they've excavated these 2 huge Roman sites outside Durham. So when they're excavating them, right, they're really well preserved, and the walls are higher than me, and it's so brilliant, right? And then the archaeologists, whilst they're trying to decide what to do with it, they allow it to be eroded by the weather and all the rest of it. And then they're panicking, and they've got to do this and that about it. Unfortunately, the damage has already been done. So the context of the site has already changed. Now, in China, in the United States, in France, Germany, right, they would put a dome over the bloody thing and they would protect it, and people could see it for what it is. Like Göbekli Tepe. Actually, there's lots of people very critical about Göbekli Tepe, but the Turks have actually put whole aircraft hangars over some of it. So it's preserved, but people... Oh, do you know what some of the experts say? They put these huge aircraft hangars over it because they're trying to hide it. Right? What, in the middle of the desert, and you can actually see it with a gleaming roof and it sparkling. Yeah, they're really trying to hide it. So anyway, we've got to go to what we're supposed to be doing, and So what I want us to do, I've got some beautiful images of Herculaneum, but we're not doing that today.
Oh,
So because we're going to be looking at Trajan's column. Now, I sent a message to everybody. Andy was definitely going to be here, and I basically said, look, we're going to be doing Trajan's column, and that's what we're going to be focusing on. And we've got all these really nice images, and an image of a turkey. And so look at that there. Look at the detail. However, we don't start with that. What we need to do.
at the
Hang on.
base. Is that the bottom?
No, look.
No.
Unfortunately, look at all these images I want us to look at tonight.
Mhm.
We haven't got to the bottom yet. Oh no, we haven't got there. We haven't got there. There we go. Now, I actually picked up a book, and I that we just look at some of the images on the bottom today, and then we go halfway through. Now, Trajan's column itself is a historical master, but it's also a piece of archaeology and a piece of architecture. And really, what I'm going to try and do today is focus on the archaeology which is contained in this. It's forensic archaeology that we're looking at today. So I could give you all the history. I could give you this and that, and this person was involved, and so on and so on, and what happened to it, and get to Mussolini in the 1920s and 30s. To be honest with you, that's bog standard history. You can pick up most of that in history books. But what I've got here is a description of Trajan's column, 1874, from the United States. Don't ask. Written by a John Hungerford, Poland. So his descriptions are some of the descriptions that we use today, which are 150 years old. Now, initially, what they did with Trajan's column is that they made a plaster cast of it, which that plaster cast then they made into these metal plates. And if you go to the Kensington Museum in London, and I can't remember the modern name for it, you can see that you've got a replica of this. They call it the white elephant because it's like this huge replica that they can't put full height because it's over 100 feet high standing today, and they put one bit there and they put one bit there. And the one thing about the Trajan's column is it's so amazing. And actually there were a number of these columns in London at one stage, numbers of them, and that there is just above the doorway. And look at that. Look at the detail for that just above the doorway into this column. And you know what? Here's a fact: the column is hollow.
Yeah.
You can go up the column.
Mm.
And what we do, we've got very clear images of this bottom scene here, right? Very clear images. And that's where we're going to go, but not yet. So one mistake I made last week, and this is a big problem on the internet, right? This is not Trajan's column. That's Trajan's column. This is not, right? This is the column of Marcus Aurelius. However, if you type in Trajan's column onto the internet, says that this is Trajan's column. This is a column of Marcus Aurelius, and this is also hollow. But if you're ever looking, this is the clue. If you're ever looking for images of Trajan's column, right, the base of Trajan's column is a bit battered. Marcus Aurelius isn't, except there's two other columns in Rome, but one is completely destroyed except for the base. That's one for Antonius Pius, and one was erected in Rome well after Rome was really a city anymore, in the mid 600s AD. So we probably had quite a number of these. You can see the difference. There's the battered base of the column of Trajan, and not so battered column of Marcus Aurelius. Now, these monuments stand alone as being some of the finest pieces of Roman architecture in Rome. Probably not across the entire of the rest of the empire, but but these are actually standing monuments, both of them. And it's the only thing that has really changed with Trajan's column is the figure on the top. The original figure of Trajan was removed in the mid 1500s to be replaced by a statue of St. Peter himself. So we don't really know what happened to the original bronze statue, right? But let's look at some facts and figures. Now, oh, yes. Oh, hang on a minute. Trajan's column. So which one is this? This is Marcus Aurelius's. And what I might do in the future is look at the column of Marcus Aurelius, because the stuff on it's very different. But if there's another gladiator film, right, this would be perfect to look at, because, you know, some of the ideas for that film may have actually come from the column of Marcus Aurelius. Now, the column of Marcus Aurelius, that's going to be associated with Marcus Aurelius, who died in AD 180. This is associated with Emperor Trajan, who died in AD 117, who was the precursor to Emperor Hadrian. Now, this was a period in Rome. This was the golden period of Rome. That the reign of Emperor Trajan, AD 98, all the way through to the death of Marcus Aurelius in AD 180. This is the finest period of imperial Rome. And we've got these bits of statue. And I'm told with anyone going to Rome, right, we're going to look at this in a minute. I'm told that anyone going to Rome, you cannot, there's no way you can do everything in a week. If you're interested in Roman stuff, right, you could probably do it. But if you want to do anything else, then you're not going to be able to do it. And the one thing is, one little fact before we get in, yes, walk inside Trajan's column. One little fact, there's this guy, really good website. We'll show you what it is, you know, YouTube stuff. And this guy was lucky enough to go inside this column. And actually, I'm quite animated at this minute. Actually, one thing about this wonderful, unbelievable column is that it's the original height of a hill that was quarried away to create the new Forum of Trajan. This was a hill, that the height there of the column represents an original hill that was there, that the Romans completely quarried out and decided this is the... So you can imagine, this is engineering that today we would struggle with, but they did it. So yeah, I was thinking today, one of those facts that this guy here, Darius Arian Diggs, has got some really good stuff online, and he's got this video online which I've borrowed a couple of his images. I was thinking today really hard, and I couldn't get my brain into it. I was looking and I'm thinking, these carvings on here, obviously somebody sat down and planned these carvings, right? Because there are, did you know, here's some facts, guys, write these down. There are over 2,600 figures on this column. 2,600 figures of everyone. You know, you've got the Sarmatians there on the right. You've got the Roman cavalrymen on the left. You've got Roman legionaries. There you go. Roman standards there. As I say, this is not the best of the images today. You zoom in, you lose the clarity, but the other images, you zoom in and you've got the clarity, right? So that's the two facts. There's another fact is there's 58 images of Trajan on this column. Now, it's a piece of history because you can see trees on it. Not only military stuff, you can see trees on it. You can get horses on it. You can get dogs on it. You can get bulls on it. You can get children on it. You can get women on it. You got other stuff that is not just warfare, which is obviously something that really attracts some of you. Now, can you see that? It's a window. Yes. The drums, the thickness of the column is just under 4 meters thick. So you're able to go up in a spiral staircase in there. It's absolutely amazing. This is the sense of the empowerment, embodiment of Rome. This is what everyone in the Roman Empire would aspire to. But there's one single question, right? One single question. My mind can't refer to one single piece of architectural planning for any of these monuments. All we've got is little sketches and things that, to be honest with you, a child could do, right? And you're just thinking, were there actually architectural plans drawn up for these? And if they did exist, they must have been so amazing. The geometry on these architectural drawings, you can't create something like this without architectural drawings. You just can't do it, because there are workmen and women working to create this, to carve this, and damn, somebody else has joined us. Can you let them on, Margaret? Have you got the admit button?
Yeah.
Right, add them on. Good. So I'm thinking this is a big question. This is a deep question which I can't seem to get out my box. Maybe one of you could look at it. Have we got architectural any architectural drawings from antiquity surviving? And there's one thing, that this column didn't stand in the middle of nowhere, right? It stood within a temple complex with libraries, with gyms, with buildings, with public buildings. It was in the middle of a forum, of an individual forum associated with Emperor Trajan himself.
But nobody could see it.
Not really.
Nobody could see all the intricate designs. I mean, you can now with a zoom camera lens.
Yeah, not real. But the thing is, it was painted. But the point is, you've made a good point. You needed scaffolding to create this thing, right? The problem is, to get to see, the only way you could see the top of it was to actually be on a balcony, which was meters away in the library, to actually see what was at the top. And it was, even though it was all painted and illustrated, right, there's no physical way of reading the whole thing without scaffolding around the whole thing 24/7, which the Italian authorities wouldn't permit. And the problem is, if you put scaffolding around it and you've got a heavy but gusty wind, that, there's all sorts of things that could go wrong. So yeah, all of these points are really relevant. And there you go. The erection of the obelisk at St. Peter's in 1586, which was around the same time that the original statue from the top of Trajan column was actually removed. And interesting enough, you'd have had to have put this scaffolding similar to this around Trajan's column to actually remove Trajan's statue, right? To have actually put another bronze on top, which was probably about a ton and a bit in weight, right? The drums, the columns to create our wonderful column itself, right? We'll get that. There's the perception of the amount of material that went into it. The stonework is 1,100 tons, so this is a lot of weight. And the ground below it is secure and strong and solid. And the reason why it's strong and solid is because it was a mountain. So it's based on solid rock. So after they've removed the mountain, this is the guy who was responsible. This is the architect. Apollodorus of Damascus must have had architectural plans to create this. So basically, he's going to Emperor Trajan. This was built in Emperor Trajan's lifetime, amazing enough. So he's going to Emperor Trajan and he's saying, look, Emperor Trajan, this is what we want to do. And they say, oh yeah, we'll do that. So all the individual craftsmen working for Apollodorus, right? And we'll just go to, so we'll come back to these. All of these, there are segments, right? So all of these segments, so it's diagonally going up. It's not sort of horizontal, right? Not one all of these had to join what's down below, right? So this is high skill level. Anybody can make a little mistake with any of this. Now this is one of the other. This is the Forum of Trajan. This is Trajan's a big builder in the center of ancient Rome. Remember, Rome itself has gone through various different stages. So what you've got the untimely death of Nero, which is a couple of decades before. 3 decades before. No, hang on, Nero. So 4 decades before. So Rome itself is still suffering from rebuilding. So what Trajan did, he said, right, we'll move a mountain, right, and we'll build in that area. Right, so that's what he did. So this is all, you don't often see anything like this because everyone's focused on the forum. And again, another piece of work of Emperor Trajan. And it's not just associated with Apollodorus's Trajan's column, which is here. And what we've got is sort of showing the spiral staircase that goes all the way to the top, from the base all the way to the top, right? And think about this, right? There are 185 steps to go to the top. 185 steps. This is a width of just under 4 meters. So I think the pediment at the bottom is like 5 meters. The width of this is 4 meters. The column itself, just under 4 meters. And 185 steps to get one turn. So obviously to get one turn, you've got to evolve 14 steps. This is how big this thing is. It's absolutely colossal. And, you know, when you get to the top, the top is reached from the base after 126 feet, 38 meters tall. So it's a whopper. It's an absolute whopper. And obviously we've got all these little plans and architectural plans and so on and so. So as a piece of history, this itself is fundamentally a storybook with information that I can only scratch upon the surface today. Right, I'm only giving you a tiny bit of information today. Probably all the information that I could give you. Right, I'm giving you 1% of the information that you require today, because there's so much into this column. And there's these little windows. So as you're going up on the inside of the column, there are thus 40 windows. So not only have we got 2,600 figurines on the outside, we've got 58 images of Trajan. And, you know, you've got 185 steps. This is constructed, the whole thing from the plinth at the bottom, this is constructed out of 29 marble blocks. Again, all this consists of 1,100 tons in weight. So, you know, this is a lot. You think I don't know if any of you have been to Avebury, and at Avebury itself, you've got some of these big stones at Avebury, and you say, oh, you know, that's 50 tons in weight, right? And they're massive bloody stones, right? This is marble. And there, the top of the statue there, that was the height of an original hill that the Romans just took away. 126 feet of it. They removed all of that, 38 meters, right? The column alone, excluding the plinth and the top bit, the column alone is 97 feet in length. So although we have the replication of St. Peter on the top and not Trajan that was removed in the original statue of Trajan, I don't really get, I fundamentally don't get this in my head, right? Why they needed to remove the statue of Trajan. They could have actually just altered it, right? They could have altered the statue of Trajan, you know, put a sort of a mitre or something there, you know, changed his look, sort of filed his beard off. It would have been a lot less hassle. But they got rid of the original statue of Trajan and replaced it with St. Peter. Nobody's going to know whether it's St. Peter or not. Look, it's St. Peter up there now, you know. So, but they replaced it, unfortunately. But again, the amount of work that went into this landscape, again, what we've got is something so well preserved. And what you've got 20 windows on the one side, and you've got 20 windows on the other side, right? And again, this little information at the bottom, which we'll be looking at in a really nice bit of detail. So again, this sort of this eloquent, this sort of piece, it's not just a column, it's the resting place of Emperor Trajan himself. This is where his ashes rested. So again, this is very important. It was established. It was being created after the First and Second Dacian War as a victory monument between AD 107 and AD 113. AD 107 and AD 113. So this itself is acting as a monument to Emperor Trajan himself. It's the burial place of Emperor Trajan, and it's also the burial place of his wife, his interned ashes. And again, these sort of architectural plans give you an idea of the spiral staircase as the spiral staircase goes to the heavens. And it's said that this is like a pilgrimage. This is a pilgrimage associated. I don't know why that's come up on the screen. It's a pilgrimage associated with the god Emperor Trajan himself, because on the death of Emperor Trajan, there's something I want to show you on this in a minute. On the death of Emperor Trajan in AD 117, he became a god. Trajan is now a god. So to go inside this column, to go to the top of the column and touch the feet of Emperor Trajan was a pilgrimage to visit the final resting place of a god. You're visiting the ashes of the god, and you're also going up to ascending to the heavens and getting close to Emperor Hadrian himself. And can you see the line going through there, right? That's a division between the two bits of column, right? So the person carving this would have to have been painfully aware of where everything lined up so that these two things would match. So this is the level of detail. So you've got the division here of one drum. This is what they call them. One of the blocks there, and you've got another drum above. So these have all landed absolutely perfect. This is so remarkable architecturally, engineering wise, and also if we go back to those intricate facts and figures. So this was created between AD 107 and AD 113. This was created in a period of about 6 years. Today, I don't think we get past the first block, to be honest with you. I really don't, because I don't think we've got the skills in this modern day and age to create anything like this. I don't think we have. And look at the accuracy there. You can see if you let's just show you what I'm talking about. Right, so you can see a line there. So this is one drum, and that's another drum, right? So there's a line going all the way through there. So it's perfectly carved and it perfectly matches. Okay, yeah, what they may have done, they may have put one block on the other one and sort of tried to match it up and stuff, right? But again, that's intricate skill. And just think, can you imagine if somebody got a bit upset one day and accidentally the chisel went the wrong way? And yeah, so a whole figure, and you might have to start carving that whole section of block again. Several years worth of work gone down the drain. It's and this would have all been painted. This would have all been decorated. This would have all been created so it could be displayed and seen. And again, that's the pediment on the top. That's where you're reaching. So you get onto the veranda on the outside and you look out over Rome. So and this Rome was to be seen. Now that's the point. That was the point, Margaret. You could see Rome from the top of here, but you couldn't really necessarily see if you were outside the walls of the temple precinct with the libraries that this was actually there. You wouldn't see it, right? You might not really be able to see it through many streets of Rome itself because all these buildings and temples. But if you went on the top of this, right, you would be Emperor Trajan looking out on the eternal city of Rome, which would remain intact and credible until it was eventually sacked by Alaric in the year AD 410. So again, thinking about all this is what this is the statue of Saint Peter, right? You know, with the keys and stuff, you know, whatever. But you could sort of imagine this could sort of be a little bit like Trajan, but this is the statue of Saint Peter there, which is on the top today. And the difference is the clarity of carving. You can see that this is carved completely different. The column of Marcus Aurelius is again carved completely different. It's in a different genre. It's in a different sort of sense. It's a little bit more brutal, because Marcus Aurelius is going against other people in the Roman Empire, including the Germanic tribes. Right. So, Marcus Aurelius is always the one who's seen in the great films, The Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire, Christopher Plummer, 1970. Or was it 1968? Always get that mixed up. Gregory Peck's in it as well. And also, when you think about the Gladiator film, Gladiator 1, Marcus Aurelius is in that as well. So this is what you're seeing when you're at the top of the column. You're looking down on where all these temples were, right? And if you think about the closeness that this was, yeah. So you've got a temple there, right? And then you've also got the base of another temple coming in there. So this was really tight. It was really tight, and you're looking directly down on the temple. So these would have gone up. There would have been there would have been the cornices, the entablatures. There would have been the beautiful roof. That would those are marble columns, but that was there. In other words, containing this wonderful column, this wonderful history associated with Emperor Trajan. See, that's what you're looking at. So you're looking at you'd be looking at the buildings, but you'd actually be looking at over the rooftops, and all the little bits of remains. Now, there's a couple of us have come into anchors on the internet over this. Now, most of this was made available by Mussolini, right? So in the 1920s, Mussolini would find very enthusiastic archaeologists like me and say, right, you can dig anywhere in Rome itself. So what we're looking for is Roman stuff. So, there's a house there. Don't worry about it. We'll demolish it, right? So I would be there as an archaeologist. I'd be paid extremely well, and what Mussolini was interested in was the Roman archaeology, right? And this would all be displayed. So people would lose their homes and shops and all the rest of it. However, I'm talking about this now. If it wasn't for Mussolini, we wouldn't be seeing this today. We'd just be seeing all the small shacks and all the other things that Rome once looked like in the 1920s and 30s. I know this looks like a load of ruins, but this is what brings in the tourist dollars, not somebody who lives in a house where that forum was in the 1920s. And again, this is the entranceway. So what this basically says, that this is a dedication to Trajan himself. This is a dedication to the removal of that hill that used to be there. And again, this is the entranceway into where the steps are, and where the wonderful remains, the immortal cremated remains of Emperor Trajan himself. The door there, just amazing, that just sort of entering in through that doorway, and the artwork around it, and the angels on the left and the right there above the top. And in a way, you've got sort of representing all the silks, all the type of richness of Rome, and the what they were wearing, and little helmets and shields and all these different things as you enter in through that dark door. And I don't know who this is, Margaret. Can you enter them in, please? Margaret, who was that? Hello?
Hey, hi, it's Andy.
Oh, right, yeah. Hi. We're sort of we've been looking at loads of really nice images about Trajan's Con, but we haven't got to the ones that you sort of know about so far.
Oh, lovely. Thanks. Sorry to disrupt.
That's the only reason he's come in. He didn't want to hear any of this.
No, I did want to hear it all.
So what we're doing, we've been so we've gone from all of these, we've done all of this, and now we're at the entranceway into this. And as I said, I mentioned this to Judith and Andy, that the one thing about this is what we're trying to do is to give more archaeology, to give more sort of thing rather than the history. But you want a translation of what that says there, right? Okay, it says it's associated with and at the bottom here it mentions about the work itself. The description is the Senate and the people of Rome. There you go, Roman. There's clearly written to the divine emperor Caesar. Oh, hang on, we may as well just get rid of that, and we can do sort of this here. We can follow it along. So what we've got there we've got Caesar there, and then it talks about the divine emperor Caesar Nerva, which is there, and we've got the word Trajan. So this is obviously his monument. And then what else have we got? He's the conqueror of Germany. He's also the conqueror of Dacia. He's vested with the power of the tribune, right? So in other words, he's vested with the power of the Senate, and there it is. And so what we've got he's also the imperator, which is basically there. And he's also, amazingly enough, he's the consul, which is there, which is what we're talking about with the likes of Julius Caesar, and he's also the father of the nation. For demonstrating, and this is the point. How do we know about this mountain, guys? Right, because in this bottom section here, it says that this man was so powerful, he's the father of the nation, for demonstrating that a mountain and a place of such height were excavated for such work. So they removed a mountain. So when they talk about, do you need to go to Muhammad or the mountain or that type of saying, right? He moved a mountain. A whole mountain was moved to create the column. A mountain, amazing enough, which was 38 meters tall. It was all removed and cleared for this work. And this is how amazing this guy is, because this guy is a god. He's immortalized as a god. And actually, guys, this was created before he died. So in other words, he was already on the way to becoming a god. So basically, this was basically a small this was basically a small hill, 7 hills of Rome. This is one that's been removed, and there you go. That would have been the original height, as I mentioned earlier on. So much more to talk about. And I remember earlier on when I was getting all the images for this ready, I remember I was so absolutely knackered that I think I fell asleep about 6:10, and Rochelle come over with a coffee and a donut, so that was good. So all the sacrifices I make for you, but you've got 2 different types of marble. So the column itself is one type of marble, and these are sort of this is another kind of marble in front of us. So I think this type of marble has been sort of brought in, this sort of ready type stuff. So the drums themselves of our marble itself are known as Carrara marble drums. Now, Carrara marble actually comes from Tuscany, the old land, this sort of pale, sort of bleached marble, which is probably more typical of Rome rather than the rich sort of purpley sort of granity type sort of marble there. So that marble itself is known as Carrara marble, which is actually from Tuscany. So it's just down the road, but naturally a long way to go. So again, the spiral staircase as you go, this is, as this is the one thing last week by saying without the images that there's steps inside this, it's like, is there? Well, there's the steps inside the thing. These are the 185 steps, not the 39 steps. 185 steps So 185 steps. And remember, a full turn within one of the drums, and obviously we've got the diameter of a full drum, which is in the 4 meters, right? It is 14 steps. And remember, there's 29 big blocks to create the whole thing. And again, looking out over the Eternal City. Oh, spot famous monuments. There's the Colosseum over on the left, right? And you've got all loads of different religious buildings in the distance, and that's looking up at St. Peter. So again, that's where we used to. I tell you what, it's the one that must have been struck by lightning more than once. Must have been. And again, this sort of fluidity I've just mentioned earlier on, that to be looking out at this landscape is looking at the remains of the Eternal City, some medieval stuff there, some sort of Vatican-y type stuff, loads of different things, the Roman stuff, the Colosseum in the distance as well, all of these different things. And again, when we looked at the Colosseum last week, hang on a minute. Oh, nope. What have I done here? What we did was, if I can annotate there, right, you can see that, as you know there, as you go around, and there's the top. So basically, the Colosseum isn't complete, really. It's not all there, to be honest. And again, looking down at the Forum of Trajan, the Basilica Ulpia, which again, this would again, it's one of those things of people in the past. You create something that's absolutely beautiful, but nobody can see it because it's hidden within all these buildings around it. All these, I can't really express. So they've gone through the amount of time and money to create something like this, and you're going to get historians saying, it cost a few million here and there. Well, let's just talk about real figures: time, effort, resources, money. We're talking about in the hundreds of millions of pounds to create something like this today. You couldn't create anything like this today. Time, effort, machinery, stone. You're talking about a lot of money, and again, that's just a column itself. So all of this stuff around, we've got a precinct drawing, and again, looking over at the Colosseum there. So it would have had a wonderful view, right? But again, it's very likely that you wouldn't be able to see this column from more than you wouldn't be able to see it in the streets, because the streets were sort of so compacted with buildings. And again, the Santa Nome di Maria, which is one of the sort of more Renaissance buildings nearby, Vittoriano, which is sort of in more recent times. Again, this column is near all these monuments, and it just makes you wonder what's underneath that Roman stuff. Tell you what, Andy, we'll just blow it up and just get to the Roman remains. It'd be far more fun. Piazza Venezia. This is one of the things. This is one of the things. All this stuff is cleared and created in the 1920s and 1930s. You've got the Roman backdrop, and this was all associated with Benito Mussolini's revival of the Italian state, which obviously, as we know, lasted until 1943. And again, the scaffolding looking down. And there is, what I do at this stage, I go on to telling you some more about the columns, and then we'll get into the images after the break. But so what we've got there, we've got the Roman Forum, which is marked there. We've got the Arch of Titus also marks there. We've got an idea. It's in the beating heart, pulsating beating heart of Rome. There it is. So you can see Ostia there, the Roman harbour on the coast, Rome itself with the relief road going around it, and this is in the beating heart. Again, Trajan took the best stuff in the beating heart of Rome to actually create his lasting and final monument. Obviously, in a way, it's not his final monument because it's made in his lifetime. So it was completed. So when I was doing a little bit more of research, I just thought, when I was reading the textbooks, it said, the columns in Rome, and I thought, right, okay, so how many columns are there? Well, there's more than 4. Put it that way. I've tracked down 2 others. So we've got the Trajan's column, we got the column of Marcus Aurelius, we got the column of Antonius Pius. Now, Antonius Pius I think came to reign in AD 42. I might be out by a few years, but Antonius Pius was the one who replaced Hadrian, and then after Antonius Pius, you've got the very likes of Marcus Aurelius. And now this is a bit of a sad sack story. Look how beautiful that is, right? That is eloquent. That is beautiful. That is amazing, right? You've got a representation of Roman society there, and the true eloquence.
Isn't that
of the
Britannia at the bottom, Carl? Looks like Britannia,
It could be.
doesn't it?
Because it could be. It could be. That actually, what you have just done, you've fallen for the Roman trick. You're already Roman. In what you're saying, it can be Britannia if you want it to be. It's definitely a voluptuous woman with nice breasts. And the fact of the matter is, you've just fallen for the Roman trick. You couldn't have done it any better than that. You were set up there by no reason at all. So in other words, you've seen something in this that you associate with, right? Today, that would be something that people in Britain would associate with that, because there were images of Britannia on coins, right? So you've associated with it. If you are, say, a Germanic person, you might go with the guy lying down. If you were like a Greek type of person, you might go with the eagle's wings or something. Or you might just be associated with a typical Roman family there. And this is again, this is the Roman ideal. You've been hoodwinked into knowing that you are part of Rome by the emboldened embodiment of this. And this is all that survives of Antonius, column of Antonius Pius, which is a big shame. I went on to the good old Wikipedia about Antonius Pius, and I just thought, right, okay, the column itself was 14.4 foot high, so we're told. Well, that itself is a third of the height of the column of Trajan, right? But the thing is that Antonius Pius didn't have the airs and graces of people much later than him and people much earlier than him. I don't think the column of Trajan was constructed out of Trajan was full of himself. He didn't do to the Dacians what lots of other Roman emperors had done. The one thing about this is that we didn't know that the column of Antonius Pius existed until a few hundred years ago, right? All we knew about the column of Antonius Pius was to do with coins, right? So if there's a coin out there and it's from like any other Roman emperor, right, like Emperor Nero, right, and there was a column on it, well, I don't know of a column that Nero would have constructed, and by the way, it would have been pulled down anyway. Now, but the point is that what we've got is that this was constructed of red granite, and it's saying with no decorating reliefs as on the otherwise similar columns of Trajan and Marcus Aurelius. But I don't think we know that as a fact. I don't think we know that as a pure fact, because nothing of that column has really ever survived. We've got this here, so we've got this little digest. There was Phocasia's column as well. Who was Phocacia? Well, Phocacia was a general that had a column erected in Rome in the 600s, AD 600s. So they were still building these things. How many true columns there actually were, I don't know, because I'm sure the likes of Constantine the Great, just before he died in AD 337, would have wanted a column there. He certainly built an arch in Rome, which is one of the finest triumphal arches that we've got in Rome itself. However, I don't know where it is. I don't know if there's anything existing from it. So there we go. So the column for Phocacia, is the last classical memory of the Roman Forum. So in other words, this is the last time that anyone buggered around with doing anything in Rome. At that moment, they just abandoned the place, really. It bases on a stepped brick base and is embedded in front of the rostra. And it was erected in the year AD 608 to honor the Byzantine Emperor General Phocas and thank him for ceding the Pantheon to Pope Boniface IV for conversion into a church. So we did the Pantheon last week, right? So that became a church. Again, all these things linked, and lots of these things have survived because, you know, the church has taken them over. And again, you look at these things. This is in the forum itself. So this is in the forum, and you see it there. Amazing that it's in the forum, you know. And I looked at this and I thought that there's Phocas is it's a wonderful column, and I'm looking at that and I'm squinting my eyes and I'm thinking, just squint a little bit more, and you think that could be the bombed out ruins of the Brandenburg Gate in 1945. You're just looking at that. It's not at all. I'm so far out. But the point of this is, in a way, this is the sadness of ancient Rome. It's a load of ruins, and they're beautiful Roman ruins, but it's only a small snapshot. Let's say it is 5%. Again, that we talked about karl-james at the beginning, Andy. Not karl-james, Göbekli Tepe. That's the one. We talked about Göbekli Tepe at the beginning, and we were talking about, you know, its interpretation and stuff like that. And I basically said, well, you know, that's only 5% of their world, so we're basing everything on that. And in many ways, we're basing everything on this. Like 5% of Rome that survived. Maybe it's closer to between 5 and sort of 8% or something like that, but it's not much has really survived. And Trajan's column, again, that wonderful plans like this, you know, giving you an idea, you know, this is where all these things are, bits of the Circus Maximus there. You've basically got Trajan's column. You've got the walls around the city itself, you know. So now this is rather this little bit that, again, I've stolen from Wikipedia. Ancient coins indicate preliminary plans to top the column with a statue of a bird. Now, this was initially at the age of Trajan, probably an eagle. After construction, a statue of Trajan was put in place, and this disappeared in the medieval period. On December the 4th, 1587, the top was crowned with a bronze figure of St. Peter the Apostle by Pope Sixtus V, which remains to this day. Now, did they remove a statue in 1587? That's the question. We presume there was a statue of Trajan there. There you go. So what we're going to do after the break is we're going to look at this, just the bottom bits, right? That's what we're going to do. I remember I sent some of these images to Andy, and Andy said we could spend an hour just looking at one of the images. Yes, we could. And I've got a wonderful textbook here. It's a description of Trajan's column from 1874. So if we've got time tonight, which maybe we will, maybe we won't, I've got wonderful descriptions, and I could take so much more from this, which I didn't. So after the break, we'll look at the first scene represented is the low marshland of the banks of the Save, a tributary to the Danube. But we haven't got that image up yet. So what I might do is I might take a break now. And I'm just going to click through to, this is what we're going to be looking at after the break. Right, let's just not show you anymore. And let's see if there's any questions, and it will give me a chance to get a break. Right. So it's now 8:16, and we have been going. We've been sort of knocking through since I think we started 7:07 actually. So 8:17 now. So we're going to see if there are any questions. And it's the first time I've seen Andrew J's phone on there, but that's life. It sounds like a DJ, Andrew J. Wow.
There's my daughter set
Right. What's that, Andy?
It was my daughter set it up. I've never got around to changing it. I don't know how to get into it to change it. So
No, I can change it for you.
I like your little friend, Andy.
Oh, I just noticed that. Yeah. So
Yeah, your little
don't know
gonk.
what that is. Yeah,
It's a gonk.
it is a conch.
Gonk.
A gonk with a G.
Yeah.
A gonk. A gonk.
Mm.
Right, folks. Let's see, Drina, anything you'd like to say?
No, thank you.
She's
It's
disappeared.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Haven't got the light on. No.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Judith was ordered on tonight. I said, look, Judith, right, it's the end of the world if you don't turn up tonight, right?
But we can't.
And I gave her a secret about Anne and the Wednesday classes, which she's not allowed to tell anyone. Judith.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi!
It's astonishing. Did you say 6 years? Did I hear that right? Took 6
6
years
years
to
to-
build it. Good grief.
Yeah, and it's likely.
They
it's
can't
likely
even fill a pothole around here in that time.
Yeah, the thing is, let's think about the dimensions. It's right. Okay, so can I just show you an image at the end? I just want to show to get you an idea of that 6 years thing, right? It wasn't just the column which was completed in 6 years, right? So if we go out and we go to there again, hang on a minute. No, we got all them still to look at, guys. Sorry. Oh, hang on. Look right there. Can you see the column in the middle there? Right. All of that was completed. Yeah. All of that was completed in 6 years.
Good grief.
Amazing.
And
They were. I don't think there were slaves that built that. I think there were willing people who really wanted to do it because they've done such a cracking job. If there were slaves, they'd just be all slapdash, wouldn't they? Wouldn't
it
care.
would be completely slapdash.
Pebble dash.
I think this thing about slavery is overdone. I think Michelle was me and Michelle were having a conversation about something to do with slavery today. I can't remember what it was, but slavery is usually the answer to everything, right? Yeah. So because everybody bases it on the Second World War. So what they do, they think about the Stott organization. The guy who was the precursor to Albert Speer. He died in 1942, and the Stott organization got slave labor work gangs to sort of work in the factories and all the rest of it, right? And so people say, oh, if the Germans did it in the Second World War, they obviously did it in the Roman period. Well, the problem is, one thing that we realized with the Germans realized with using slave labor was that probably ended the war by about 6 months, because they had V1 rockets which would explode on the ground because slave labor workforces would urinate on the circuit boards, right? Instead of putting when you've got instead of putting firing pins in sort of but oh god, like shells. Instead of putting firing pins in shells, the workforces didn't put them in. So you can imagine you've got a tank which can't fire anything. So the tank is obsolete. So that's what happens when you use a slave labor workforce, right? When you don't use a slave labor workforce, Judith is right. You create something like this, which is an amazing landscape.
Weren't some of the Roman slaves educated? I mean, I don't think they treated their slaves quite like the Americans did, from something I've read. I don't know.
Actually, it's a definition of what a slave is. So if you've got a yeah, that's the point. What did slavery mean? So yeah, my mind's gone in loads of different directions. So for example, you've got a Greek poet, right, who's a teacher of a rich family in Rome, who is a slave, but he's got his own room, right? He gets to write home to his family, right? And he gets fed well, and that's a slave.
Yes.
He doesn't get whipped. He gets manicured, and you're just thinking, right, okay, that's not a slave, but it is a slave, because that's what. And you're thinking, in the medieval period, for example, all of us unless one of us was a lord of a manor, would be tithed to the land. So in other words, we wouldn't be able to leave that plot of land because we would need permission off the king. It technically, right, I'm going to use the word king. The Lord couldn't release you into sort of being free, really, because you, in other words, belong to the king, except you're rented out to the Lord for you to be used on the land. That's slavery, right? So, okay, Judith, let's put it this way. Slaves were used to build these structures, right? But they weren't slaves in the modern sense. So therefore, they're not slaves. So the problem is, I think the word slavery is the wrong word completely.
Right.
They're not slaves building these things.
Didn't they call them plebs? They would like the common
That's
working
us.
class. Working class
You're definitely
people.
one of them, Margaret.
I'm a pleb. I'm
Not
a
a pleb.
working class person.
Yeah, that's the point. You're working class, so you're a slave to the system.
I'm a pleb.
Andy knows that. So anything else, Judith?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Completely slaves. Margaret, you can be my slave.
Are you asking me a question now? Am I asking you a question, in fact?
You're asking me a question. I've already asked you if you're my slave, and Michelle wouldn't be too happy with that. And she's got red head.
I was looking at the Trajan's column to see if it narrowed at the top, which it does. But because they understood perspective, they made the higher bits wider so that the figures looked the same height as the ones at the bottom. So they understood perspective so that the figures would look exactly the same. They'd appear, what was it, wider to prevent the column from appearing narrow as it rose.
They knew what they were doing.
Didn't they? Weren't they clever?
But it's not just that. Forget about all of that. It's the ability to be able to carve that in unison with somebody else. When you, obviously, you've got a group of people, right? And again, slaves wouldn't be able to do this. You've got a group of people who are so precise. And as I was saying earlier on, Andy, I don't know if you got this. The architects of any of this stuff must have had precision plans for people to follow. Not those sort of wiry little medieval things that are meant to be copies of things that were meant to be plans that the Romans did, right? All that was obviously destroyed. So, you know, they must have been precision draftsmen to be able to create this stuff, not just creating the stuff, but the drawing plans to create them in the first place.
Is it telling a story? Does each spiral?
Yes, yeah, that's what we're
telling a story. It's not just random figures.
No, I don't think if we get to it tonight. Right, yeah, go for it, Anne.
I think also, as well as being very accurate and amazingly the technology of it, the art, even the way they've, the art and the carving within it was amazing. Another point I would think for visitors would be a bit claustrophobic going all up the stairs, even with the windows, wouldn't it? I think.
Can the public go up there?
No, not today. Not today.
Oh.
No, it's out of bounds. Basically, the guy that I showed you earlier on would have had special permission to do it. I think it would be, if I needed to get to do that, I would probably need to write to the Italian authorities a year in advance.
Yeah, but some people must have done it though, mustn't they? It was set up for that. And
it's
I'm
a
saying
pilgrimage.
it would be claustrophobic in that narrow.
Yes.
Even with the windows.
I bet Don Snow's been up there.
Oh, he's banned. The fact of the matter is, you're going up to the stairs. You're ascending. You're ascending into the heavens to get alongside the statue of Trajan.
Again, though.
To be alongside him, to look out across the eternal city, to see how amazing this God, this deified wonder has created, and he has created something amazing.
It was amazing. It truly is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think the Vandals took everything that was bronze in Rome,
No,
didn't they? I wonder if they
no.
stole that
Look,
statue.
look. When Alaric's sack in Rome, right? Alaric is a trained Roman soldier, right?
No, this was
He-
Genseric, it says here.
Which
Genseric
which which
with the
which sack
Vandals.
which sacking are we talking about? Because there were several.
I know, I think this was the fourth one with Genseric.
Hang on a minute, I haven't even got to the first one yet. Give me a bloody break.
But they
Um,
took all the bronze. They were there for 2 weeks.
No, but the fact of the matter is that I've always said you jumped the bloody gun by about 3 years. Give me a break. What you've got is that by the time you get into the sacking of Rome in 476, right? When you get to 476, and you get to the last true Roman emperor, Romulus. When we call him Romulus II, there's nothing much left of Rome anyway to sack. And it's, again, anyone who sacks Rome is usually a Roman soldier or somebody trained by Rome, right? It's almost as if, it's that Roman bloke, let him in, and we'll sack it. Well, okay, if you want to blame somebody, you can blame the bloody church. Look at the Vatican City ripped all the bloody marbles off the outside of the Colosseum.
Okay.
St. Peter's Square and all the rest of it. So that needs good quality mortar. And yes, so if you want to blame anyone, blame the Christians. Why not? We can't blame the Muslims on this one because they wouldn't have been around. They weren't even invented back then. So we're not blaming the Muslims.
Come on, Andy, say your bit.
I want a break.
I was wondering when you said they took a hill out when they constructed it. I wonder if they actually used that hill to construct it, because it could support it was going up.
Marble.
Yeah. What? Oh, Andy, that's just so. Actually, Andy's got his Egyptian brain on. You can see it; it's working. It's an Egyptian
That's
brain.
very Andy.
because if you this the architect is from Damascus, right? So he would have been aware of building in that way. So obviously it's this displacement thing. So what you go, you dig, you cut through the rock in like a little vent all the way down to the bottom, right? And then you've got the flat base, and then it's not going to be very. What you could do, you could have a little cavern going through, and you could just move the stone around to that level, move the stone around to that level, It's exactly what we're talking about. The way they built the Theban temples, for example, where you've got you've got these big ramps getting to the level and you've got the displacement of the sand and all these wonderful. He would have been aware of all of this. And Andy, in a way, Andy's said something that some people could argue, oh, well, it's not that much of a feat, is it? And you're thinking it's even more of a feat because they knew to do that, right? This modern day and age, we wouldn't do that, right? Modern engineering could not countenance what Andy's and I have just mentioned, because you'd have to take it all out to have the groundwork, and you'd have to have all the equipment in there, and then and only then could you build it.
Are you saying like they made it like a sculpture? Like a sculptor will get a big block of stone and then chip away?
No.
You don't mean that?
No.
Section by section.
Andy, you explain a bit more.
Yeah, it's built in sections like cheeses on top of each other, but you can only go so far with that because the height and the weight.
Yeah.
And as they took out a hill to build the site, it would have made sense to keep half the hill there in place to get at
it.
Level as they put it up. It'd be much easier to build it like that.
Yeah. Or actually more, or actually both sides of it. You're doing is basically. Oh, okay. Basically, it's a. Hang on. Let's get a little bit of a drawing, and Andy can say if that's what he's talking about, because this is what I'm talking about. So basically, you've got. Hang on a minute. Let's get this in here. Come on. Okay. So So what you've got? Oh, hang on. Why is it saying press N? I don't want to press N. What there?
C. Mm.
Oh, there we go. We got a mountain there. So basically we got that, right? So what you're doing, you're taking a gash out, right? Is that what we're talking about, Andy?
Got a white screen, Carl. Oh, there you go. It's coming up.
Right. So yes. So I've never used this. So what you've got the hill. So you've got two sides, and you start building from a solid stone base, and you use the support of either side to build the thing to full height. And I think that's what Andy's talking about. Yeah. I think I've lost everybody.
Like Petra built
Can't tell you
into
because I haven't got it, I'm afraid.
Not like Petra built into the stone.
Preparing a whiteboard experience.
Oh.
Oh, forget about the whiteboard experience. It didn't bloody work. But
Yeah.
But
No, not
but
like Petra. Not carved out of the mountain itself. No.
no. So we are bringing the materials in. This from Tuscany. Remember, it's from up the road. So
Okay.
Carrera
we're
marble.
bringing this in.
Yeah.
But what we're doing, we've got to get the flat base. So we're not taking out the whole hill. We've got to get the flat base. So then if you've got either side, this side and that side, you start building up, and you can use support from either side to build this thing up. That's what we're talking about. That would make more sense.
Are the foundations, does it go down much underground?
No, it just hits the solid rock. Remember, they've taken the rock away. So
Gosh.
the stone is solid, right?
Yeah.
This is solid rock. It's solid. Unlike the Tower of Pisa, which is based on mud.
Hmm.
Now that was built by Irish nabbies from Belgium or somewhere, but
It's still
yeah.
standing though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like they to straighten it, they built another bit over here, and then it started to subside, so they built another bit. So it's like, yeah.
Can you imagine
Right.
the thousands of photographs that people have taken holding it up with one hand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so one day somebody's going to hold it up with one hand, and it's going to start to fall down.
No, it's been stabilized now. It's all right.
Yeah, right. These are the Italians you're talking about. Right. Okay, then. It's 8:35, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna take a break now, and I'm gonna have my usual 15 minutes, and we'll be back. So I'll speak to you soon.
Okay.
Don't mention Abraham Lincoln.
Wouldn't dream of it. Oh, I've got pins and needles in my foot. Can't move. I've been sitting with my legs crossed and they've just gone to sleep.
All right. Trapped it. Yeah.
Oh. Oh.
Had a good day, and Andy. So have you had a good day?
Yep. Sorry, I had to work out how to switch the microphone back on. Yeah, it's not been so bad today. It was a little bit of showers today. We're down in Bournemouth. But yesterday we went out to Lulworth Cove and Durdledall. It's a really lovely little area, that part of the Jurassic Coast.
It's quite pretty there, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and it was a lovely sunny day as well. And there weren't many people around because it's a massive tourist trap. It was really good. So went for a swim in the sea.
Well, that's nice.
Cold, but it was good while it got in.
No, that's very good for you to get cold in the sea, as long as you don't stay in too long.
No,
It's a bit nasty.
I like warm water. Every time I get in the sea at Arnside is when I've got a dry suit on, so it's a bit different. So. Yeah.
Where are you, Andy?
Bournemouth.
Oh, you're visiting your daughter.
Well, no, she's away. We're looking after the cat.
Cat sitters.
Yeah, so I get down here for a few more days. Yeah, I think back.
Okay. Is the sun shining in Bournemouth?
It wasn't so much today, but it was yesterday. Yeah, so it kind of. I think it seems to be kind of the same all over the country at the moment. It's like it's shower morning and then sunny periods this afternoon. So
yeah,
strange, but at least we got some rain at the minute because it was getting pretty desperate for rain.
It's been torrential, hasn't it?
It is a bit warmer down here, which is very nice.
Yeah.
I'm out in my t-shirt most of the time, so which is kind of nice. So.
Well, I had a massive flood outside the garage.
Oh no!
I was worried about your stuff.
Yeah.
It was encroaching, so I've tried to move some things back.
Well, come and get back. So.
Yeah, so it didn't. No, it was getting close though.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So
blocked drain there.
Eh?
Is it a blocked drain or is it just?
It's one of those. It's a small soak away, and I think it just gets blocked up with it gets silted up. So I got a neighbour with a what do you call it? Water spray. What do you call them? Very fast water spray.
Jet wash.
Pressure, jet
wash,
pressure thing. And he got a long glove, so he put his hand right down.
Right.
He said, well, it seems to be clear. It was just such torrential rain. It was just too much for it. But I thought, I'll just Google and see if there's something you can get. And it suggests worms. Put worms down your drain.
Wouldn't they get drowned and finished off?
Well, I presume maybe they mean tapeworms because fish, they must be, mustn't they? It didn't specify what kind of worms because I thought, where do I get those from? Do I go to a pet shop? Where do I get worms from?
Well, there's all sorts of different worms you can get from pet shops, aren't there?
Well, the only worms I know of that can live in water are tapeworms.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're good to put down anything. I can't see
vegetation.
Because you're right, normal earthworms will drown when it gets wet. They come up to the surface.
Yeah, they wouldn't do any good, would they? Poor things.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Is Drina back yet? I can only see one screen at a time on this. But...
She's her room is there, but she is not.
Okay, because I've got this. There's a Lego thing here that I'm sure she'll. You remember she had that Lego Wally. That Wally.
Oh yes, I do. Yeah.
There's a Lego thing here that is just brilliant. I'll have to go back because I didn't even realize it was Lego until I looked at it close.
Wow. I took my granddaughter round the maze.
Oh yeah.
Last week, she wanted to do the big one.
Yeah.
I was exhausted. We were in serious danger of getting lost in there.
Yeah.
They said, "Oh, you can have a map," And she said, "Oh no, that's cheating." But we were hopelessly lost. It was getting quite scary, actually. They give you a pole with a flag,
Yeah.
and a telephone number for if you, and I was beginning to think we're going to have to raise the flag here.
International
Hot
rescue.
day.
Helicopter out. Yeah.
But I cheated. I went through the maze bit, the maze, the corn. I could see where we were meant to be, and I thought, I'm just going to collapse if I'm in here for much longer. So I took a bit of a shortcut. I cheated, and we got out of there, but we were going dizzy, going round and round.
Well, I mean, I don't know how big it is this year, but in the past when I've been, it's been really quite a big maze.
It's big, yeah. Yeah, but we survived the maze.
Well done.
We might be going to Italy next year, to Milan.
Ooh.
I've never been to Italy. I've been to Sardinia, but I've never been to mainland Italy.
Been to Venice.
Have you? I've not been to Venice. No.
I've only been to northern Italy, the Dolomites around there, you know.
Well, Milan's up there. We're going to go to one of the lakes. We're going to Milan for a couple of nights, and I think there's a lot of Roman stuff there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Ancients. Have you been there, Andy?
No, I haven't been to Milan. No, but there is quite a lot up there. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to one of the lakes. Not a well-known one. It's one that I've never heard of before.
Mm-hmm. Well, that'll be nice. They're all really lovely up there. So.
Well, I can't stand the heat. And we're going in
that
June.
hot up there. So.
No, well, that's why I said I'd rather go north.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My daughter's like you. She doesn't really like heat, and she's come back from Iceland. She thought that was a really nice place.
That would suit me.
A really good place to go.
I think I should live there. That would suit me fine.
Not near a volcano, though.
No, it's all a bit dodgy, isn't it?
No, there's quite a few up there. I got stuck in the south of France thanks to one of their volcanoes. So.
You did what?
I got stuck in the south of France because of a volcano in Iceland.
Well, yes, when they stopped all the aircraft, wasn't there?
Right.
When it was a bed, was it then?
Yeah.
It was. I remember that in the news.
Yes, we were stuck in Fuerteventura, and when that volcano went, and we couldn't get home.
I have a bit of lava from. Well, I picked up on Fuerteventura. That looks. It's kind of that shape. It looks like a dragon's claw. I refer to it as a dragon's claw. But if you think about it, it clearly is some lava that's been thrown out in a volcanic eruption. A drip. But the nearest volcano is on Lanzarote, the next island.
That's
so it's
right.
All the way from there and Fuerteventura.
That was some eruption, wasn't it?
Yeah, you know, oh my God, that's an eruption and a half. And they keep saying that Lanzarote is going to explode at one time, sooner or later. They're thinking, well, may hope not. Hopefully not while I'm here.
Mind you, a lot of the beaches on Fuerteventura are that black volcanic sand, aren't they?
Yeah.
I don't think it's plenty. I read a book or several books about volcanology at one time. I got interested in it. They were saying where the danger was going to come in the future, sort of thing. But the one of them, and I can't remember which one it was one of the islands in the middle of the Mediterranean, and it's got a floor in it, and there's water in there. And one of the days it'll go, and it says it'll cause a tsunami right across to America. It was half of the island will drop in the sea.
Well,
that's going to come someday.
that is Lanzarote. It's the
that
whole,
was Lanzarote. I couldn't remember which place.
It's really unstable, and it will go, like you said. Yeah.
And there's water somehow inside it. That's the problem. That was that one. And the other one was the one in America. You know, in the
Mount St. Helena,
the big one.
Yeah.
And they said when that goes, and that's late. And when that goes, it'll affect half of Europe. And
no, that's the one in Yellowstone.
Yellowstone, that's right.
Yeah.
The one at Yellowstone, could affect half of Europe, and You know, sounds pretty awful. So let's hope we've gone before it comes. Mind you, we ought to reduce the population, move everybody away from it, shouldn't we? Everybody, you know, knowing that it's likely to come, but we don't seem to get sensible about things like that, do we? Ever?
It all happens suddenly, doesn't it? These things, normally.
They do, but as I say, if they know they're coming, there are things. If we were a sensible group, if humans were sensible as a whole, I don't mean just bits of them. If we were all human, if we all had our great brain to do things, we could take action, because there's people who know that it's coming.
Yeah,
things could be avoided, but we don't tend to.
What could you do to avoid that?
Well, what you could do is reduce your population generally, if you could, and then move them away from all the dangerous areas. I mean, if you keep having more and more people like we are, expanding, it's coming down a bit now, I think, but we've been expanding the population of the Earth for so long. The Earth collapsing under us. We still semi-need growth, but you know that it could be if you've got a sensible leadership, if you like, or a sensible. We're very intelligent. We don't seem to have much sense.
Yeah, totally.
Because things could be done if they know. I mean, as you say, these things happen. They don't know they're coming. There are awful things like that, aren't they? I mean, it must have been terrible for early man. You know, when a volcano went off, I'd never seen one before. You know, it'd be inexplicable, wouldn't it? To them, it must have been
terrifying.
Yeah, it must have been. Absolutely.
You can't imagine how terrifying life must have been for those early people. You know, and they just assume it was the gods, some kind of power.
Well, I think they made the gods up in order to explain it. I mean, when all the crops failed for you know, and they'd never done it.
That was Michelle's point, and we're gonna burn her at the stake. Right. Right. So, okay, let's get on to this. So we hang on a minute. Let's just get that thing off a minute so you can see what I'm pointing at. Right. So I thought, right, let's get hold of this book, right, which is basically a description of the Trajan column, right? And it's after page 105 that you actually get the description, and it's an amazing book. It's looking at describing it and looking at Trajan, and it goes on about the basilica in front and who Trajan was and his army and what the column was about and mineral wealth and Decabolus, who and Decabolus was the individual that Trajan was dealing with in the Trajan Wars in his reign. And Decabolus was this guy, this great regent king that decided to take on the Romans. Then obviously Dacia itself would be partly subjugated by the Romans. Decabolus would eventually be defeated and would take his life, but the Romans would never ever completely conquer the old kingdom of Dacia. And the one thing about Trajan's column is to really talk about this great victory, two great victories that Trajan had over Dacia. And this was built, as we know, the column was actually built in his lifetime. So between AD 107 and AD 113, and Trajan died in AD 117. So let's just crack on and let's look at some of these wonderful images. And there's a society dedicated to the column. So what we're going to do, we're going to get to not here, to this. Now there is this before we get to this, and this is associated with the first spiral. So we look at these images here, and we look at these scenes, and they get extremely clear when we get to the next slide. And look at this. So from the description, from the work of John Hungerford, Poland, this information that we get from the spiral is associated with a plaster cast set that was taken of Trajan's column by the former Emperor Napoleon III. Now, Napoleon, before he was defeated by the Prussians in 1870, commanded a complete set of plaster casts of Trajan's column. And one of those plaster casts was donated to the British nation. We've got, and then from those plaster casts, they made a bronze set of impressions. So what we need to say is that what we see in these images are thanks to Napoleon III's plaster casts. Obviously, he didn't do them himself. He had them. He basically had scaffolding placed around the outside. You know, had all these plaster casts created. Because what you see on Trajan's column now is not as clear as the plaster casts that were taken in the 1860s. So what we can clearly see are these towers here, and in front, which you can see these wavy lines, is in fact the guard houses alongside the great river Save, which is a tributary of the Danube River, which actually creates a boundary between the Roman world and the world of the Dacians. And interestingly enough, this building here is exactly the same reconstruction that we see in my book, Romans in South Wales, which Michelle put together without seeing this image. And it's quite interesting that these are referred to as guard houses. And you continue along the shore, and they sort of, you see more and more of these, but they get smaller and smaller as the spirals sort of increase along the river, diminishing in proportion. But the proportions of the human figures are not altered in this part of the bas reliefs, so that the centuries only occur as soon as the spiral band becomes wide enough to contain these figures. So you don't see little miniature figures. And I think that discussion that Margaret was having earlier on about the figures is so apt. So again, what we see is these guard towers, and this is very, very interesting. What protrudes there? These are actually defined as signal stations. So these are signal stations. These are early warning. What's that? These are early warning signal stations alongside this river division between the Roman world and, in fact, the world of the Dacians. So what we see, you know, we've got a stack of wood there. This stack of wood's very important to be used in the pyres or fires associated with the signal stations, but clearly that's a torch signal station. So these are all sort of stacks of things. So the initial figures that we're actually seeing are really, really interesting. They're not clear. They're at the base. They've been damaged, but you've actually got the shields. Now there are four figures all together. Hang on, there's one that curves around. Yeah, there's one there. There's one figure there. There's 2, 3, 4. And these figures themselves, and that's a lot more clear. These figures themselves represent 4 individual soldiers represented performing the duty of guarding this frontier. So when historians are talking about, oh, you know, there were sentries guarding the frontier and these towers and all the rest of it, these are clearly on display. So they don't look like the typical Roman soldiers that you would normally associate with the Roman military. So you've got two of these, it's said, represent Romans, and the two others represent auxiliaries. Now, you can't see on this too clearly, but the auxiliaries from other descriptions had beards and bald heads. So, but these have got some kind of military dress. So again, when you look at these figures and whether they're as clear as they could be, and obviously the plaster cast itself, from the plaster cast, as the plaster cast has decayed, you still get some of the detail, but not as clear as it could be. But you've got the river Save there in front at the bottom. Now, when we're understanding this, and we're understanding what's clearly presenting between the guardhouses, there is showing sort of various sort of figures and various opportunities for interpretation. You've got a little bit of a fort on the right there as well. So these boats themselves, and what we're exactly seeing is that when we're understanding this simple scene where we've got a little boat there and they're loading these sort of casks. So you've got one boat there and you've got another boat further on, which these are laden with casks. And we'll come back to these. These are the casks here. And this one itself is actually laden with other items which would be required, such as grain. We do believe that those are sacks of grain. So we don't need the historians to tell us that, for example, you know, they're trading with different things. You know, we've got this clearly created on this wonderful bas relief Trajan's column. And I remember I sent some of these images to Andy, and it was like, you know, we could discuss a lot of detail about these. And again, these casks. So this idea that everything in the Roman world is being moved around in amphora is clearly not true, because what we've got these barrels. So if we go back to, hang on, is that one clear? Yeah, these two guys here, these two guys are really important. These two soldiers employed in landing stores receive them from 3 small boats or barges. And they are apparently manned by 2 men. 2 men in the first boat are occupied in landing barrels of wine, oil, or vinegar, and perhaps have the other boats also in charge. Each is rowed by 2 broad paddles, which you can clearly see there. 2 broad paddles, swinging on a thole pin, which Andy can explain on that one, on the quarters of the boat, and a small raised seat is provided in the stern, and the planks nailed on by bronze or copper nails. And the one thing that we do know is that all of this would have been illustrated and painted. This is what the National Geographic say. We know that they were using bronze or copper nails because iron is liable to rust away. So this raised seat, which you can clearly see, appears to contain a locker underneath it or something like that. So these laden, these boats themselves, and you've got the barrels there ready to be loaded up as well. And there you go. Here's another one, which is a lot more clearer. So you've got the 3 boats. You've got the one boat with the barrels, you've got the one boat with the grain, and you've got another little boat over here. So you've got these three boats. But one thing that this does show, right? Go into my notes along the whole scene. And there's two things about this image. Along the whole scene, what you not only see is human figures, you see what they're using and the equipment and all the rest of it. But what other things you've got is foliage. You've got trees, you've got reeds, you've got rushes, you've got all these things. There's all this extra detail, which you might not see with any other monument like this. You've got a little tree there, which yeah, that's an oak tree. I can tell from the leaves that is an oak tree. It's the leaves are oak, so I can clearly see that. Now, the point I made much earlier on, is that this line going through. So this is one drum, and then it's intricately carved, and it's meant to match the other drum above, right? And there's some misalignment with this, right? So the misalignment is here. There's misalignment. So when I said earlier on that maybe what they were doing is carving the two blocks at that location so that they matched, but there's misalignment. So if these were being carved by two separate people, this must have been drawn on the stone, clearly drawn on the stone. And, we want this in relief and all the rest of it. But that clearly says to me that this wasn't two blocks on top of each other and carving it that locality. These were two separate people or several separate people carving in two separate areas, and that would have to line up. Except that, there's like slight disparities there, right? But I've got to be honest with you, like, let's not take it away. That's massive skill. That is huge skill. It really, really is. So back to this, we haven't actually mentioned this sort of building behind, the arrangement behind. And when I said earlier on, when I said earlier on about the issue to do with, this must have been drawn up, and this must have there must have had drawing pads or something to actually create this, right? For me, this is really interesting. This is described as a little town behind, right? So you've got the buildings, you've got the sort of temples, the stories building on the left, and you've got all this wooden palisade. This is really, really interesting. So we've got these moored abreast alongside a quay outside the town itself. And obviously, you've got all the rock and stuff and all the rest of it around. You've got the barrels over on the left that's sort of mounted on rock. So there's a little sort of area with sort of a wooden palisade around the town. And it's saying that maybe you can get an idea that maybe the wooden palisade, some kind of perspective, may have been about 10 foot high. And the houses themselves have upper stories, and and it's sort of this sort of detail that sort of helps us understand a world from ground level, which we don't really understand. So what we're talking about sort of footings and foundations of buildings which we're excavating, and this is a stone illustration of what some of these buildings look like. So you can probably get an idea that this is how some buildings would have looked like in Britain at the same time. So you've got upper stories, and what you've got is it's rather interesting. You've got these really big sort of porches, really long doors, and it's sort of describing the roofs themselves are maybe covered in tiles, or the piece of wood there that's saying in my notes that could indicate actually thatch, right? Because whatever's there is being held down by a beam across on the outside, which you can clearly see there, right? My book actually tells me that this might not be describing a roof that's actually tiled, but a roof that's actually, the thatch is actually held down by that beam across. I don't know where this is coming. This is not me translating this, but you can clearly see an overhang there on this. And this is a nice little sort of town, sort of Romanesque type town. So as we move on, we've got now this. We're hit by a plethora of loads more stuff, and what we've got is we've got the town all the way along here, and we've got an archway, and so again understanding this, sort of try and really get into this, and you've got the buildings and where we are now. So we go on to something else, and actually out of all the representations of panels and individual areas, you know, we've got over 100 different scenes, and I could never do that in one evening. It would take me all single day. But this little scene here, you've got the town. It's describing the passage of the Danube by the emperor and his army. So the troops march across a bridge laid on boats and carefully engineered, right? However, there's the boats. This is a pontoon bridge. But who's that guy there? Now, who is that figure in the water? Is it Neptune? That's the figure. It's sort of this huge figure, this sort of Greekish like figure. Look at the muscles. Can you see the detail there? The muscles. They didn't spare a thing on this. Those muscles at the back, you know, in there, you're sort of bringing in, you've got the arms, that detail on there. And when you think about that, you sort of move away, because we've seen the earlier figures that we've just not really examined, because the earlier figures, because they're on the bottom, they've decayed, you know, these figures, you can't really see their faces. But as you move a little bit further along and you start to go a bit further around, okay, this seems to be more protected, right? It's likely now as well that because these were from plastic casts, and you get that from sort of way back in the day, right? And what you've got there, that figure there, let's get to that figure. It's like a big heroic size. This is a Newman of the Danube, a demi figure, nude to the elbows, after which a scarf in close folds forms a frame. So I'm not sure exactly what that means, but you've got the figure and you've got him looking and almost in awe of this army. Now, I got to be honest with you, these things above the head, right? Now, interesting enough, right? Have you got them clearly? So the description here is really good. I'm so pleased I got this book, because now we're getting into detail. And I would love to be able to zoom in a little bit further on their backpacks that they're holding up. So each man has a small pack or bag crossed diagonally by double straps. Now, let's try and give a bit of a description. Oh, get rid of that there. That there is actually a goat skin. That's a goat skin full of wine or vinegar. That's what that is. And what they're talking about as well is oh, and also I don't know how that works. Somewhere along here in one of these packs, every single soldier has one of these, right? This was their backpack, which they held above their head. In there is a net that holds fruit, meat, or fresh bread. There's a pot. You can clearly see that there's a full arrangement. You know, they're fully. You've got pots, you've got pans, you've got all the bits and pieces that these individuals need. And it's saying that you've got a ladle for dipping into water, and for a drinking vessel, and a pot or stew pan with an upright handle. And also this itself is a typical scene of an army marching into war, not away from war, into war. Hang on a minute, stop. So again, all the detail above the pontoon bridge. And it's so interesting that the pontoon bridges like that were being used to cross the the Danube by the Russians in the 1944, and the Americans were using pontoon bridges to cross the Rhine, basically exactly like that, but except you're putting tanks across them. So this is all really good stuff. And so what we've got is that they are marching across. They've got all these different looks and faces, and the bas relief itself. And they're very wary of the god there. You know, they know that the god's there. And the bridge itself is constructed in two lengths. And so the boats are seen moored there, going across, and these soldiers are actually marching across. They're taking their stores. You know, this is everything. This is a marching army, and they are going to war. This is the bridge that they're using. Now, let's talk about what they're wearing. Now, every single one of these soldiers, and where is their helmet? They're actually their helmet is actually strapped to their chest. Right, you can see their helmet strapped to their chest. They're not actually wearing a helmet. Now, whenever you see any scenes of Roman soldiers going into battle, they're always wearing a helmet. And except one person's wearing a sort of a helmet, that guy's wearing a bearskin, and that guy is a standard bearer. So you're looking at this, and also the shields. These are typically legionary soldiers, not auxiliaries, because they got shields. And you know they've got segmented armor as well, and they've probably got some chain there as well. This is the thing; these ones aren't painted, so the National Geographic stuff is. So I'm going to try and get hold of one of the National Geographic publications that actually shows these color illustrated. I don't know when I get that, so I don't know when that's going to be. So the soldiers are wearing a short linen tunic. They're all wearing short linen tunics. This is clearly an army. So they wear light breast and back plates of iron, lobster scaled shoulder pieces. There you go. And similar bands of scales, their armor. These plates are tied by leather thongs and or of bronze and very light. Hang on, bronze. There you go, bronze. The only heavy armor is the helmet, a close headpiece and hinged with cheek pieces, and these are actually connected to their chests for carrying. Basically, they're slung over their shoulders as they march. And you've got the typical shields, the square shield. So all of this being said, all of this, and they've got the pilum. The pilum itself is actually being carried upright, and it's connected with their backpacks that they're actually carrying. There's one thing that you don't have the stakes that Roman soldiers usually have in the western part. And all these stakes are used to sort of put in the ground to create a defense whilst they sleep at night. And each of these has got a Roman gladius, the Roman sword. So again, the detail here is unbelievable. It's sort of sending us into a direction that you wouldn't really get from texts or any other archaeology. And there they are. There they are, all marching to battle. Now the bearers themselves, which are these guys, right? Which are these guys, which are known as the signifiers, or the Ibergenifers, or the Draconari. These are signifiers, the Imaginifers, the Draconari, are people that held the standards, and they usually had a bear skin, that looked very different. And these were actually the legionary standards, and you can actually see the detail that's gone into it. So as these people are going into battle, they're or going off to war, they're showing the mettle of who they are. And there's one downside with this, is that when this was painted, the banners themselves had details on. individual details of the units that they were in the Roman legion, which are sadly now washed away or eroded away. And again, you've got all these soldiers. So these are some of the 2,600 figurines that you see associated with Trajan's column. But what you've then got is these figures, the cavalry, the array of senior officers, and we've got the telltale circular sword, circular shield, which is all about our cavalry. And this would probably indicate that these are auxiliary cavalry rather than anything else. But it's likely as well that some of these guys are actually commanders. But you can get an idea. But some horse person could look at that and say, from the detail, which breed of horse that actually was. You can see there's no stirrups on them either. So these are these are cavalry horses. But that there is a senior commander in front, in the middle of shot. So it was going through all of this and understanding what we're looking at. And as we get, hang on, yes, that guy there is actually, hang on, not that. That is a senior officer, that guy there. But what you're also seeing is musical instruments. And I think, no, I'm not sure that is, but these are musical instruments.
Are they war trumpets?
Yeah, these are known as the cornacini. These are two trumpeters. These are cornacini, sounding the signal for the march. Their instruments are large, semicircular horns of brass connected by a straight bar, on the ends of which is a semicircular plate like the blade of an axe. You can't really see that. I can't really describe that anymore without the exact item, but those are the trumpeters. They are here given the signal for the advance over the bridge. At the head of the entire advance guard is Trajan himself. Now, I may have made a little error here, but I've been right at the same time. Right? And the little error is that this guy here is not only a commander, that guy is Trajan. There is Trajan. So the first time that we actually see Trajan, right? There he is. That's the first time we actually see Trajan. There he is. He is a commander. I identified that right. Got something wrong in my reading there, but that guy there is actually Trajan himself. He's not very clear. And so there he is. And my notes actually say he's dressed like his lieutenants. He wears a cloak clasped over his shoulder. Yes, you can see a shoulder. Yeah. There is his shoulder. There there it is. That's it. And gives the signal of advance with his left hand. So his left hand is there rather than his right hand. So that's the first time that we see Trajan throughout this whole arrangement. So as we sort of move on, we move on to, we've got all that. Hang on a minute. I don't think we've got the next bit. So we haven't got the next bit, but what we do have is this is all part of the beginning of the first Dacian War. So what we then do are basically sort of, we've got all these scenes. You can see how intricate they are as they wind all the way along into these panels. And I knew full well tonight that it was just going to be only giving you an insight into what the Trajan's column is about. But look at the detail. Look at the trees. Look at the signifers, the standard bearers. Look at individuals carrying wood and sort of buildings and bridges and various soldiers and sort of forts and towns and walls. It's full, and you know, we've now getting into some more of the nitty gritty, a bit of a conflict scene at number 12, number 29 there, number 29. So what I did, I sort of thought, right, okay, it was really difficult to sort of do the whole thing, right? It was only little bits, but I wanted to jump into a few other things, and I'm sort of aware tonight that I probably will go until about maybe 22, and then we'll call it a night, because we will have done 2.5 hours. So what I then thought, I thought, right, let's just show you what this looked like and how. I got to be honest with you, right? There it is, Trajan's column there. It's hidden. There's if you were down on street level, you wouldn't see it, and if you went further down the road, you wouldn't see it because there'd be other buildings in the way. In other words, Trajan's column itself, even though it's a column which deifies Trajan, this is all this conflict, this. So basically, you'd go in through the columns there, the sort of the columns in front there. You'd go in and you'd see this column, beautifully lettered column, and lettered letters there, and dedicated to Trajan and the removal of the hill. We've mentioned that. And then what you'd have this wonderful painted, illustrated edifice, in a way, that was hidden from everybody unless you went into that area. So this is very much about, you've got a huge basilica building behind, so you can see it, but on top you would be able to see Rome itself, because you're fairly high up there. So what we've got is we've got some illustrations which have been made over the years of this, maybe more exaggerated illustrations, and this is from another. This is another scene of the Second Dacian War. So this is the Second Dacian War of AD 104. This is the final Dacian War that Trajan would go into history as being the one who finally defeats the Dacians, only for 180 odd years later for the Dacians then to defeat the Romans and get their own freedom back. So just one thing that I mentioned earlier on, what we've got, we know, if this hadn't survived, right, we'd know from coins issued by Emperor Hadrian that he did actually have a column, right? A column did actually exist. And this coins like this, sort of from the reign of Trajan up till about his death in AD 117. And this is denarius, silver denarius, when silver coins were silver. And actually, there's a nice little bit of detail there. I've got to be honest with you. You've got the statue on top, and obviously some coins don't have a statue, as you know. It's got an eagle, as we mentioned earlier on. But as we move on again, this again is a Dupontus associated with Trajan. And interesting enough, on that very coin, SC, on the authority of the Senate, you can see there's a spiral there. That would indicate that it's not a typically fluted column, right? That even if the column hadn't survived, that there was actually something carved on it. That's what that coin tells us. So what we've got throughout this, we've got 58 images of Trajan, and these are the faces of Trajan going to shrines. So he made lots of offerings at shrines throughout this whole column, right? You know, you see him and you see his face shrouded, you know, and it's again, something actually hits me about the plaster of Paris cast, right? Being plaster of Paris, right? When you took the plaster of Paris away, it wouldn't give out this detail. I'm telling that they must have used something else. That's all I can say. But these are plaster of Paris impressions, right? So again, this is him going to shrines to offer gifts to the gods to say thanks for his great victories against the Dacians. So we've got these illustrations of what the wonderful Emperor Trajan looked like, and he didn't have a beard. And these are impressions. They're very different there, and his hair is different. It's more wavy in these examples. These are 6 examples. Actually, it's not, is it? It's 4 examples because the 2 on the end are repeats. Actually, I think, or maybe that's not true. Yeah, they are. So these impressions are of Emperor Trajan actually on horse. So his head's it's really strange this when you're looking at this and you're looking at close up. It's almost as if his head is actually buried in the rock. It's actually, yeah, it's really strange that his head's being revealed into this world, and it's got the ears there as well. There's one interesting thing about the ears, just one little detail, right? His ears are different from Emperor Hadrian's, right? Emperor Hadrian had a split lobe. Trajan doesn't. So Trajan's column basis statistics. So there we go. There we go. Really interesting thing there. And now again, that's got St. Peter on top, right? That's not got Emperor Trajan on top. So basic statistics. So, but it goes back to St. Peter. So the statue of St. Peter and its supporting pedestal were raised into place on September the 25th, 1588. We had a different date earlier on. Associated with Pope Sixtus V. Pope Sixtus V. The statue is the work of Leonardo Samani and Tommasio della Porta. The fate of the original statue of Trajan, which topped the column, is not known, either when it fell or when it was removed, or how its bronze was recycled. So that goes back to something that wonderful Margaret said earlier on. Had it been removed basically 1,000 years before, it's a long time. And just some sort of basic facts: the original dedication, the original foundation stone on the 12th of May, AD 113. And I've mentioned that there are 29 blocks that make up the thing, right? The blocks at the bottom, the blocks on top, on the top as well. But 19 individual drums. Those are the drums that create the column, of the column itself, which is 97 feet in height. And the drums themselves are all equal in height, 1.5 meters. And it's got a few different things there, but each of the drums themselves, remember Andy's point about moving them into position rather than a crane placing them on with all that wood, placing them up from high, right? So you're building this thing up within this half cutaway hill, which makes a lot of sense. And just think of that, 33 tons a block, 33 tons. To have wooden scaffolding able to take 33 tons, if you're going to do it the hard way, it's just not going to work, right? So again, the weight of the capital there being 56 tons. The total number of marble blocks used to build the column, as I've already said, 29 blocks of lunar marble. It gave a different type of marble earlier on. And there we go, 1,100 tons. That's shocking. That's a lot of weight. That really, really is. So I don't know what time we've got now. So we're going to do a bit more of this. So this is moving on. This is into the Second Dacian War, AD 104. And what this basically shows, it shows the departure of the emperor with his officers and troops in a convoy of armed vessels from the Roman headquarters on the River Save. In the extreme right of the composition is a palace, right? So if we go to that, I think, hang on a minute, no, that's the temple that they're leaving. Hang on a minute. Hang on, what we've got here. Hang on, let's just see what we've got a minute. Right, so we've got dedication. So we've got the extreme right. So there is on 213, there's like a palace thing. So we're leaving because we're going up the column here. So what we've got, we've got them all moving to battle, right? And the emperor, right? It describes that guy there is the emperor, and he's basically he's in these are all armed vessels, 2 ranks of rowers, and obviously with gangways in between. And you've obviously got little cabins, you know, these little cabins there. And so again, we've got these little details of Roman vessels, which would have been used to go along the rivers. So again, getting an idea of, and you've got the detail of the swirling water heading over to the right hand side. So the Roman fleet makes it for one of the more important colonies on the Danube. And there it is on the right hand side. And basically, the Roman emperor is going to be welcomed in the streets. So what we've got all this detail as it moves around the column, as it keeps moving towards the right. And you've got the swirling effects of the water here. And again, the detail here is absolutely amazing with the rowers. And actually, some of the images I do believe are not the plaster cast, but actually the actual thing. And so what we're moving from that hand side there, we're moving from the left all the way through. So on this scene, it talks about being welcomed in the streets, in the streets of this very town. And they're heading to that temple there, which is the temple of Neptune. And this is a scene where I was trying to find them earlier on. It talks about descriptions of lots of children, and there they are at the base there. These are children. And you've got the figures, and you've got all the effects, and again getting an idea of this, and sort of getting an idea of the sense, and that there. Yeah, this is actually the plaster cast again, because that is a window, and that is a plaster cast because the window's blocked, which on the original thing is not blocked. So this is going on to a triumphal procession, which is on the right hand side. So again, what they're doing is triumphal procession. There's children, there's women in the street. You've obviously got another one of the vessels there. And this needs to be secured. This needs to be placed at anchor. These are the legionaries. These are all going into battle. And what I wanted to do was, as they get to the temple, there's basically talking about, you know, the detail on the boats. Obviously, there's so much detail there. But what we are talking about is the sacrifice of these 2 animals here, and they're bulls. This is the sacrifice of the bulls. And this is, you know, that you've got everyone welcoming the emperor with it, sort of a fist out, you know, sort of welcoming the emperor. This isn't them sort of putting their 2 fingers up. They're welcoming. This is the fist in the air. You know, you welcome to our town. That's what they're doing. And obviously, it's very interesting that we've got children there. We're seeing children, and you've got the street scene here, and you've got another bull there, the head of a bull, and this is all for a sacrifice. And when we talk about that you've got the two of the children there, and again the children are all part of this, and the one on the left is a girl, and one on the right is a boy. And obviously, what you've got detail of the shoes as well. I know this is associated with the fact that this is a plaster cast, and the sacrifice of the bulls themselves. So the sacrifice of the bulls, the two bulls are held behind the altars themselves, the two altars. And what we've got is that there's a guard mounted within the shrine itself. And again, the detail of the bulls, not just sort of the men themselves. And can I remember what I mentioned the other week? And we're basically on the likes of 9:40 now. So yes, you remember the old days when we used to start the class at 7:30, right? This now is the equivalent of 10 o'clock, where I would, well, no, this is 10:10. So, but I would like to say finally that what we've got the representation of the bulls. And one thing I want to do is come back into Trajan's column another week. And Judith was right, I couldn't do this in 1 week. I come back to Trajan's column another week, and probably in a year's time or whatever, we'll come back to Trajan's column again and sort of talk about Marcus Aurelius's column and come back to that. So loads of detail onwards and upwards. But again, I just want to implore upon you, look at the detail of the bulls. Now, I know this is the plasticast version, but you can see the sort of hairs, the ruff on the front, and you can see the horns there. And it's the man's nipple there, it's just their beards and different hairdos. They're welcoming. This is sort of on the border of the Roman world. And this and look at the details of the garlands there, and there's a flame there. You can see the flame and the hands and the detail. And look at the axe. Well, I think the bulls would be probably poleaxed rather than anything. So excellent detail. So what I'm going to do, just going to flow back again to sort of children there. Look at the three children. Actually, those are two children. I think that's a female there. That's sort of the mother, but slightly smaller actually. Two more of the children, and again this whole scene, welcoming the emperor, sacrifice, and I do believe I'm going to hedge a bet. I'm going to hedge a bet, right? It's not in my notes, but that there is Emperor Trajan himself. This is sort of being welcomed. He's at the head with his hand out, and they're all, wow, we've got the bulls and all the rest of it. So there's a lot going on in that scene. And again, look at that. We're what I might do is go back into the book, because I do have a little bit more of a description of this boat. If I can actually get this. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. What did it say? Have I got this one? I'm not sure. I'm sure I did see something about this. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not. Yeah, there was something about this. I can't exactly get it. Is this the one that they're talking about, the galley? And yeah, there's I'm not really getting this in my notes, but there's a lot of detail on this one boat, right? And with the stern cabin, and you got the rowers coming into the quay, coming into the town itself. And what we can see, and what I've demonstrated tonight, is the pure detail and idea that was once Rome. And Rome itself, it's going back to the beginning of the presentation tonight, is that this is just seeing all of this tonight. It is a fragment, only a small fragment. All the detail, all the information is only a small fragment of this Roman world, and we think we know we're so lucky to be able to see this, to be able to understand this, to be able to understand this detail. But again, this is probably representing 5% of what we know about the Roman world. And then there's another 95% left to understand, left to look at, and left to allow us to breathe and realize the wonder of Rome that once was. And again, what you can clearly see there is these figures. And I do believe that this is a coloured in illustration from the clothing there, that this is probably from about 1904. No, this can't be, because this is after Mussolini's cleared the streets. That dress doesn't tie in with the date so this has got to be about 1935, but the costumes don't go with it. Anyway, what do I know? So we're gonna call that a night tonight, and hopefully you've really enjoyed that, guys. And yes, I want to know if there's what reaction you've got. Have you enjoyed that, Margaret?
Yeah, I really appreciate you bringing that to us. I thought it was amazing.
And guess what? Anne,
She's asleep. Oh, she's asleep.
oh,
Oh, what a shame.
what a shame.
I want to see some more. I'd love to go and see it now.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to organise a trip. Unfortunately, we'll have to do it before October because there's new passport things.
The artistry in Rome was just amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything like it anywhere in the world, is there? As detailed as that.
There isn't. And I'm ringing Anne now to wake her up. Go on, Anne.
I can hear.
Yeah, go on.
Are there panels on display anywhere else? Because obviously you can't climb up the column to see them.
Yes, if you right, basically, hiya Anne. We don't worry about it. We're at the end now. So, hang on. What's the other? Oh, what's the other name for the Kensington Museum? Is that no the oh god the other museum, not the it's not in the British Museum, it's the other one, not the British Museum, not the London Museum. Oh, the Albert, the
Victoria and Albert.
Yeah, that's the one. It's there.
Yeah,
is it?
Yeah, but I tell you what, do you want me to show you that now? Because I will show it to you. It's a bit of a weird image. It puts me off doing the subject, to be honest with you. But so let's just Victoria. It's in Trajan's column. If we type in Trajan's column, it's in the, I'm sure it's in the Victoria and Albert. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah, it is. It is there.
Wow.
So they call it the white elephant of the V&A because it's like what that is. It's a reconstruction of Trajan's column in the Victoria and Albert Museum. And the other thing as well is, Andy, right? You still can't see it.
No,
because you can't.
Yeah.
So, personally, to get the experience, I would do like a well, the Italians wouldn't go for this, but what I would do, I would go for a Vassar experience, right? So you'd have a big glass dome around it, and you'd have like a glass step floor going around the whole thing, so you can actually read it, right? But yeah, the only way I think what the National Geographic have done, they've done an edition. I want to get hold of it, so you know that this is an illustration that an old illustration what they used to look like in the Victorian Albert. I can't remember seeing this in the V&A, but it is there.
Well, I looked. I don't remember seeing it either.
It is there. It's in a side room somewhere, but it's but you
can
get an idea. You can't really move that down the road, can you?
No.
You know what I mean?
No. Wow. You need to go with binoculars, won't you?
Yeah, but I don't. I don't see the point in that, and the reason why it's a replica, right? But you still can't see it.
Yeah, it kind of wants a spiral ride going round it, doesn't it?
No, that's what I'm trying to hit at, you know. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to hit at. So, right, anything else from you, Margaret, before we move on to?
No, I really enjoyed it. I want to see
And-
more.
Good. We will be seeing more. I need to get more of those images up. Anne, I know you fell asleep. I just tried to phone you to ring you to see
Yeah, I
if
did
I could
hear the
wake you.
phone going. I'm sorry. I
Anne,
do get tired. I really do get tired in the evening.
this has been much longer tonight than usual. I do
Yeah.
apologise. So, Anne, anything you want to say?
No, I'm sorry. No.
Okay. Drina.
How do you think they actually carved it? Do you think they piled it up and then carved in six
No.
one at a time?
You can't carve something like that when it's erect. Basically it's done on the ground and it's done in
Then
units,
piled up,
right?
yeah.
And then what they've probably done, they've probably got it all ready, and in the meantime they've quarried the whole mountain down on either side, so you've got this vat, and then they've moved it into place.
Yeah.
And they've moved that into place, and they've moved that into place, and then they move the rest of the mountain around the outside away from it, and there's this thing sticking in the air which is still there today.
Yeah.
The thing is the engineering that's required to create this. Remember, it's not just the outside. You've got to be able to carve the steps and align all of that inside.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is not the only way we could do this in the modern day and age would be to use a 3D printer.
Yeah.
And I'm not joking. That's the only way you could probably get decent accuracy.
Yeah.
And even then it might be off. So I tell you what, let's do this, right? Let's challenge somebody out there to reconstruct the pyramid. They can't do it, right? Okay, I tell you what, the people have tried to reconstruct the pyramids, you just can't do it. So let's try and get somebody to reconstruct this column, right? Using the original materials, using modern equipment, and they still wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
So right, guys, anything else from you, Andrew?
No, I'm fine, thanks. That's really interesting. I can't get over the detail, particularly on the buildings and on the boats. Just astonishing. That I mean, some of they clearly get a bit stylized, because the one with all the oars on was showing lots of oars coming up like a trireme.
Just two people.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. So, but the detail is just astonishing. I don't know whether you noticed on the side of that one that had the oars on, there was actually a little frieze on the side of the boat with a carved boat on the side of that.
Wow.
Oh, come on, Andy. Hang on, Andy. We can't go without seeing it. And hang on a minute. I didn't spot that. Right, hang on a minute. Where are we? Are we towards the end?
Yeah, it was the one that had all the oars on. So it was, definitely towards
the end. Yeah.
Right. Okay. We're at the end. Right. So.
Nope.
With loads and loads of oars.
Nope.
Hang on. Okay, we're nearly there, guys.
That
one.
No. That one.
Yeah, that one.
There's a boat.
Yeah.
There's a little carving of a boat there. You see on the side of it.
There's a boat on a boat.
Yeah.
There's a boat on a boat.
Can't get over that.
It's astonishing, isn't it? Really. There's such movement in it.
There is. You've got the water. Look at that. The water wrapped around the oars.
Yeah. Oh, and the handle is. Oh no, it's the next ship, isn't it? Next to it with the oars coming out behind the guy there. But or is it the handles of the oars? But yeah. And also, they got the shape of the ones, the boats they got on the earlier ones at the beginning had really high bows and sterns on them, and which means that even the waves were right, because when you've got a short boat with high bow and stern, it means that the sea is very sort of steep waves, but the tops of the waves are close to each other, which is called
There.
short pitch. Yeah, so it means
Yeah.
it's really choppy. So that's why you've got high sterns and high bows.
Yeah.
But yeah, an interesting
Yeah.
set of barrels. You know, I didn't know they had barrels. You know, like you said, everything was in in the what's it?
Amphora.
Amphora.
Yeah.
About the whole of Mediterranean was amphora, except there.
I wonder if they were bound with metal around the middle.
Yep.
Yeah, we do get that. We do get that in archaeology, for example, in the Anglo-Saxon period, we do get barrel bindings left, but we don't get the barrels naturally because they rotted away.
Wow.
Excellent.
And also,
Yeah.
there was so much more on here because on that one, right? It actually shows. We skipped straight over this one. That is actually Trajan there. How did we miss this image? I don't know why we missed it. We were moving on to something else, but there's Trajan. And obviously, you could probably get an expert who knows their horses, can tell you exactly which breed and where they come from.
Yeah. Yeah. The detail is extraordinary.
And note there's no
Just the
stirrups.
movements
Their
and
costumes and their armor and everything. It's just unbelievable.
snapshot in time, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I say you can spend hours just looking at each individual one.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah, you could. I got to be honest with you. I haven't done as much justice tonight. I really haven't. But there was just a lot to get through.
Yeah. No,
There's a guy in the top left there lying down.
Well, hang on a minute. We hang on. Who's lying down? Hang on.
That last picture you showed, right in the top left on the next level, look, he's lying down.
he's lying, or he's dead. They've been killed in battle.
No, he's bloody dead.
Are they the Dacians?
Yeah, these are Dacians. They got a Dacian weapon. Yeah,
They're out for the count.
Haven't I? Yeah.
yeah. I don't think they're doing well, Andy.
They're not looking good, are they? No.
Did Trajan commission this himself, or was it his council that thought he deserved it?
This was basically, I don't know. Trajan was such a popular emperor that they probably did it because they loved the guy. You know.
Wow. So was he numero uno in emperors? Would you say?
Well, numero uno somewhere around there. Yeah, he was. Alongside Hadrian, Marcus Aurelius, and Antonius Pius, these were the ones. Yeah. I don't know why I still keep getting messages from Facebook on you, but yeah, that's fine. Yeah, they are.
Excellent.
So, right. Okay. And the only one that we haven't heard from is Judith the witch.
Oh. Are you going to be doing some more on this? Because I could listen to this and look at these pictures for days. They're brilliant.
Wonderful.
What I think I've discovered today, like what I didn't understand about today, and I think Andy sort of got this because I sent him a message in a week. I didn't really understand that I could get everybody listening to this and for 2.5 hours. Oh, hang on, no, 3 hours, right? Well, not 3 hours, but I didn't know I could get people listening tonight for 2 hours, 40 minutes without a single interruption. And I just thought, right, hang on, there was something not quite right going on tonight. Well, either they were really enjoying it or they weren't. So obviously you guys are saying you want more of this, and that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
They were spellbound.
If you can bear it, will it do your edit?
What I now know to do with this is to track down another series of images which are from the column, and I can basically set to light on that, and I can grab my description. There was one problem with this whole thing tonight, and I'll be totally blunt with you, right? The descriptions did not tally directly with the modern description of the panels. So the modern description of the panels was in a different order than what's in this book, because this guy is seeing more stuff than has been described. So that was one of my biggest problems tonight. So what I need to do is get another set of images, and I need to think, right, I need to tie it more with the book, and then it's going to be a lot easier for me. So
yeah.
Well, the eye ties have gone right up in my estimation now.
And actually, I got to be honest with you, the eye ties have always been up in my estimations. They were very brave soldiers in the Second World War. They did not have reverse on their tanks, and some of the bravest soldiers in the Second World War fighting on the side of the Axis were, in fact, the Italians.
Yeah.
But they've always been great artists, haven't they? You
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
sculptors and artists, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they did invade us.
Hang on a minute.
Oh,
and
yes, yeah.
and 20 planes come up, commanded by some German pilot in the Battle of Britain.
Uh-huh.
Biplanes they were.
Oh, and they were
And most-
stations at Hadrian's Wall. I read
Yeah.
it somewhere.
Was there?
Do you
Oh, okay,
remember,
fair enough.
Andy, you said they were at Hadrian's Wall, and it was the Dacians that were there.
I thought I'd come across it. Oh, thanks. I thought I'd come across it somewhere, but I couldn't remember what.
Yeah.
Could you imagine being a Dacian on Hadrian's Wall? It's just like, how the hell are we going to get home?
Well, imagine being anybody on Hadrian's Wall.
About the same time as well, though, weren't they? That was like 120, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so obviously Hadrian would have taken some Dacian auxiliaries, and these are only going to be sort of first 1.5 second generation after the victory of Trajan.
Yeah.
This is going to be like
Exactly.
one generation, and it's just like, you know, these are okay. Yeah, it's just like that is, but this is exactly the mindset of many military commanders in history. What you do, you conquer a country, and you put those people that you've conquered in another part of your army, which is so far away from where you were born, right? Then you're reliant upon that army that you're now fighting for that had conquered you 10 years earlier, right, to get you back home, right? And I gotta say, I know I like talking about this. The Germans did the same thing in the Second World War. They would enlist people from, say, Ukraine and get them fighting in Normandy, right? And expect that the Ukrainians are going to fight loyally for the German Reich, so that they can get back to Ukraine. But the Germans didn't bank on the fact that the Ukrainians were extremely intelligent and would know that if they surrendered to the Brits, they would be able to get back to fight against the Germans. They went to POW camps and were handed over to the Russians, but then again, the Russians would shoot them anyway. So anyway, that's not the point. But this is the strategy of lots of military commanders, and Alexander the Great thought the same thing, but Alexander the Great, completely different strategy, and it's what happens throughout history, and yeah, this is why we see Dacians there. I'm not really sure. I'm a bit vague on this. I'm going to make this up completely, but there were probably Brits fighting against the Persians in the German army auxiliaries. There were things like that happening. I don't know any of the facts and figures. I'm not really thought about that. But what you had people from Spain fighting in Britain. There you go. And you would have people from Syria fighting it over here as well. So it must have been Brits fighting over there. That's what must have happened. But you don't hear about that, do you?
No.
Now that would be a good bit of research.
Yeah.
Where did our British auxiliaries fight? Because they wouldn't have fought against the Germans because they were too similar. So they must have fought in Africa, and they must have fought in Syria. Can you imagine it being the other way around? There's a Brit. And he's realizing that you can find places in the world that are warm, right? I think I'll stay here.
Oh, I think it'd be good. Oh, it's too hot. I'm not going there.
Bad gum. Bloody hell.
Too hot. I'm not fighting that. It's too hot.
Bad gum.
Do the cold countries ever have wars? You don't get wars much in Scandinavia or Iceland. They're all in the hot countries.
Actually, can I give you the Can I give you the trick? Basically, there was a fighting period across Europe, so there would be times that would be allotted when you could fight wars, So, so when Napoleon invaded Russia, it was like, don't do that. You know, we don't fight wars in the winter, right? Bad mistake, Napoleon. And it turned out that he should have gone back to the original rule book. Don't fight wars in the winter, right? Everyone who's fought wars in the winter has not had a good deal, right? Germany, back to the Germans invading Russia in the Second World War. That was not a good idea.
No.
Finland has quite kind of history of war with Russia.
But it's usually in the summer months. If you look at the history, it was usually by October there were no more fighting. You have to wait.
Yeah, they knew better than that. Yeah.
Well, they're very
they knew
nervous
better.
now, aren't they? They're very anxious about Russia.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, Margaret, we've mentioned Poland.
Oh no.
Have you read the AI? Have you read the meeting AI reports?
What was that?
Yeah, Margaret reads the AI reports about invading Poland. Yeah.
Yes. What did it say? Margaret planned an invasion with Karl, an invasion into Poland. And I thought, well, we didn't even mention Poland, did we?
No incident, yes.
And last week, AI said that the reason why Margaret and Roger wasn't here was because they were involved in an invasion of Poland with Drina.
Oh, was it? Did AI make all of that up?
Well, we either talked about it or we didn't. The reason why you three weren't here last week was because you were invading Poland.
Well, I just saw it said something about. Well, it included Emma and David as well. And
oh my God! And they haven't turned up this week.
We were lost at sea.
This is how it all that starts, isn't it? Yeah. Right. I've got one thing to show you. If I get
go on, Andy.
For everybody go. I know Drina likes her Lego, right? So if I can get this to work, get the camera to turn around. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Oh, let's do a bit of Lego.
That's not Lego.
See that?
No.
Yes.
Is that Lego?
Yeah.
Lego.
Yeah.
No way. That's Lego.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
It is. My daughter's got a little bit of that.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I thought, I know someone who'll love that.
So Drina, when I finish
Thank
with
you.
it, Andy's going to be wandering down the road with some orchids, and then everyone will be talking in Arnside that Andy's got a new woman.
Yeah. Jolly good.
No, that's great. Thanks a lot.
Shocking. Hang on, quickly. Do you like playing with Lego, Drina?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Now we know, guys.
Yes. I saw the Wall-E that.
Yes.
I thought, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I went on about it so much. My kids bought me one for Christmas.
Oh, fabulous.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah.
There's no point growing up. It gets boring.
Oh, God, yes.
It doesn't have to be, Andy.
Yeah.
You can prolong it.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. God. Okay. One last thing. When I was 16, I asked my parents for a Playmobil castle, and they gave me and they said, "Oh my God, what are you doing with the Playmobil castle?" I play with Playmobil. It was still good. I was 16.
Yeah.
Why not?
If you're still interested, I have some nice sets of Playmobil that I'm trying to sell off. So.
Andy, Michelle will go nuts. No, I'm trying to get rid of mine.
Oh, right, okay.
Andy, thanks for the offer. I've got a Playmobil castle to sell.
They're good, them. Yeah.
They are good.
I never had. We ended up with things like hospitals and schools and things like
Oh,
Yeah.
that. It's just not the same, is it? I try. Yeah, they are. They both kids have grown up loving history now, so
That's good.
But
yeah, well, they would with you and Claire. Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know, I can imagine, Karen, I need a break. Oh, I know. Let's just send the girls out with Claire and Andy. Job done. Sorted.
Yeah.
Oh God. Right. Okay. On that note, I really appreciate that. I'm gonna try and figure out where we're going next week, because I've got so much Roman stuff to do. And we're just going with the flow, and I've got no problem with it. So we will be coming back to Trajan's column soon. I'm going to start looking at the National Geographic stuff. I want to do more panels of this whole thing to really get into it, and that's where we're going to go. So anybody else got anything else they'd like to say?
No,
No.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Apologies for falling to sleep. Wasn't that I
Yeah,
wasn't
no,
supposed to?
we enjoyed it.
Overwhelmed.
I did.
Overwhelmed.
I thought it was great. Really great.
saw most of it, Anne. You didn't miss a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's good. That's good. Okay, right. Many thanks, guys. If there's nothing else anyone would like to say, I'm going to thank you very much for joining us tonight, and thanks for the continued support. Andrina, Margaret, Anne, Andy, anyone else online, and Judith, don't forget her. And David joined us for a second tonight, but I don't know what happened to him. So thank you very much, and love from Roger, because he's still out at sea somewhere, and we'll go for
No, he's just got married, hasn't he?
what? He's got married. Oh my God! That's next week is too much. Right? Night, Margaret, Drina, and Andy, Judith. Night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Night, goes. Night. Roger's just got married. What did you tell me? I'd have gone. Anyway, thanks for joining us tonight. I've got to be honest with you. We've been online for 3 hours, which is fine. I've even fed the sheep. I've even had a pot noodle. I think I'll make a cup of tea now, and do something else. I think pirates. I need to start getting my pirate videos up again. Pirate James is back. Anyway, oh yeah, pirate videos. Acting agent. There you go. Pirate again. Pirate James is back, guys. So new log 1, 2, 3. I'm back. So thank you very much, guys. If there's nothing else, I'm going to call it a day. Diolch yn fawr i chi, gwelwch chi eto, and let's look in the chat. Nothing on the chat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and chat is over. Do. And that's 7. And diolch yn fawr i chi. Nos da. Don't forget to like and support. Press the join button, and if you've got any spare cash, there's a link at the bottom. Donate to www.buymeacoffee. That's in the box at the bottom. Money is very tight at this minute, so anything is very, very welcome. Anyway, I'm going, and oh yeah, chat box is still open, so nothing there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Die. Nos da, diolch yn fawr i chi. Night. Bye. Bye.